And we are live.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
The single eye. always look to the single eye.
There's two.
Two eyes.
That's
Yeah.
upon the Horus eye zone.
Can we get a mic check from the chat?
Can you hear Colleen in the very background?
How does
Way
Colleen
back
sound?
here.
Thank goodness.
We are live.
Hi, everybody.
Can everybody hear Colleen okay? What? It sounds like there's quite a delay this time. I'll just play it myself.
Upon the Horus eye zone.
Can we get a
Perfect hearing.
mic? How does,
Very background.
yeah, they can hear you okay. Just speak loudly.
Hi, everybody. We love you.
Hi, everybody. We love you.
Love you guys. Someone said perfect hearing. I think our chat, unlike most people, have ears and they can listen.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
It's a big feat.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. This is episode number 2 of our wonderful, exciting, continual series of the Fireside Chat. And tonight's show, I keep getting the expression incorrect, Justin. So, what is the absolute correct expression?
Nothing can stop what is coming.
Nothing can stop what is coming. And boy, is that ever the truth, because the plan resides just a little bit north of here. So you have to go to the center of the earth. You would have to go to the crown to be able to figure out who ultimately is controlling the plan, and that is God. So in this wonderful period of time, what we were just discussing before the show is to remind everyone, with great gifts and huge freedoms won come great responsibilities. And so we are smack dab in a movie. A lot of people have come alive through this portrayal of the
Figuratively,
takedown.
literally,
Yeah,
allegorically.
and that's right, in every single way possible. A lot of them have come alive because the movie is designed to be real, and that's why so many began to waver a few weeks ago. That's why Colleen, myself, Justin, and Eugene waded in, and we just sort of felt shows every couple or 3 days were important to just help maintain the footing. And so that's, the show is going to go all over the place tonight, and that's wonderful. It's going to be a real free flow. But that's what we wanted to start with, is that ultimately this plan is God's plan. That has been proven overwhelmingly. And this is the great the great reveal, the great awakening, and this is the uplifting of consciousness. And the last thing I'll say in this intro here, and we'll pass it to everybody else, is this: the basis to enlightenment, which should be everything, is to rise. And just like Colleen said, I mean that in every single fashion of that word, literally, figuratively, allegorically, metaphysically, every single aspect. We need to rise. Climb a mountain, you're rising, you gain perspective, you gain wisdom. So when you fill yourself with light, and that would be virtuous foods, virtuous breathing, virtuous brain waves, virtuous energy, when you do those things and take no thought for your life, then there has to be thought. So then it comes from God, so virtuous thought, then you will surely rise. And I'll complete it with this. Remember, when we are born into this world, we're gifted a minimum of 1,000 years. And we have simply been taught by evil people to squander this life in every single way possible. And there are an infinite number of ways to discuss how we're squandering our life, but we're squandering our seed. And a minimum of 1,000 years. And what you do with those 1,000 years, you can parlay those into eternity. if you play your cards right. And there are 52 cards in a deck. So with that, let's welcome everyone to the show. Justin, Eugene, Colleen, and yeah, you guys weighed in. Nothing can stop what is coming. The fuse has been lit.
Yeah, I mean, this is truly, it's God's plan. So of course, nothing can stop what is coming, because this is the shift that's been written. It's coming. So it's more than, as Q said, it's more than just a catchphrase. And they were referring to that other organization that potentially at the time, but it's much bigger than that, in the sense that it is more than just a catchphrase. It is the truth of all truths, that there's no real winning from the Cabal's perspective, from that left brain perspective. It's just here to give us something to compare to, a path to separate ourselves and experience what that's like. But ultimately, there is no such thing as separation. Separation is an illusion. So nothing can stop what is coming, because we are inevitably going to go back to harmony, to unify. And that's what this whole process is about, is to unify and get ourselves out of this mess that we've put ourselves in. But yeah, it's fun to be here. And just a quick housekeeping note. I'm gonna try and look at the chat, but I can't see or interact with it that well. So just wanted to give a heads up.
That goes for all of us. We can't really see the chat. from
Yeah.
here.
So I'll do my best if I see something to shout it out, but I'm not gonna interrupt the flow for everyone's questions, and it's difficult to interact with it. So I just wanted to specify that before people get too wild with asking questions. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
I'll do a quick interjection, is that eventually we'll be moving up upstairs to a new terrazza, and it'll have a lot more light above, which will help to be able to see with things like that. So it'll be great. The other thing I was just going to say is that if you look behind where I'm sitting here, this would be me waving my hand. Just if you can see Eugene, just behind Eugene is a gigantic tree, and it's actually herba buena.
No, it's basil.
Oh, is this basil? This one is basil. Okay, that's right. This one is basil, and the fragrance is incredible. The flowers are amazing, and our birds love them so much. And the taste is delicious. So I do this every single day. And then just behind that is mint, and the mint is stunning in Mexico. It is so flavorful. It's great. But I wanted to point you to these two globe trees that are back here. I guess one is behind Justin and the other one is here. This tree that you're seeing is called chaya. And the leaves are just like spinach. And so, you pick your dinner from a tree. It's quite cool. And what they say is that it's the Mexicans call it a superfood, and that it's 10 times more powerful, potent than is spinach.
For
And
iron.
For iron and various other things. And it is really, and it makes so many great things, including
Beverages.
yeah, that's right, the
Soups.
sort of the water
Mhm.
that they make with it. And in the Yucatan, it grows like everywhere. And there are a number of restaurants in the Yucatan that are just completely dedicated to chaya. So everything on their menu is chaya. So
Wow.
chaya burgers and chaya
Ooh,
soups and
sounds so
chaya
good.
fries and chaya everything. Everything on the menu is chaya. It's incredible. So it's really wonderful. And this is kind of the thing you get when you live within the golden zone. There are all sorts of miracles that can happen when you park yourself between the pineal and the pituitary glands, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, back to the title of the show. Eugene, Colleen, go.
Yeah, no, figure that backing off of what you were saying, the miracles don't stop around this golden zone. And I was really thinking about nothing can stop what is coming, and I agree, nothing can stop the illusion from shattering, as Charlie laid out, with all the us hating life for some reason, like society teaching you to constantly kill yourself like quickly, and as if that's an enjoyable, pleasurable thing.
Yeah.
I also think that nothing can stop what is coming also like applies in that sense where nothing like rest can also like put like illusion to rest. So I think it's super interesting how it says nothing can stop what is coming, because in some sense it's almost like nothing is going to stop what's coming. So I thought that was super interesting. I don't know if you guys have anything to comment on that. Like not just that nothing can stop what is coming, like let's say the Trump train headed our way, but also nothing can stop what is coming in a sense where it's silence, it's rest, it's like a I don't know, you see a precipice and you stop the dangerous act you're doing.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, that's like an observation which comes.
God sending an energy, and nothing can stop what is coming.
Yes.
Right. So that 1,000 years of peace or whatever it is that
Exactly.
supposedly transcends, but we have to do the work, but nothing can stop what is coming
Yes,
from
definitely.
God.
Yeah, nothing can stop what is coming. We just get to choose our experience within that what is coming.
Exactly.
You know, like how as we've talked about how comfortable this transition is. We get to choose how comfortable we can't, there's nothing can stop it, but we get to choose how comfortable it's going to be or how uncomfortable it's going to be based on our choices here.
Yeah, and that brings up a really wonderful point, which is that it will, and nothing will ever change because this is God's creation, and there is one creation, there is one story, there is one truth, and the way we were created in this duality is literally a duality. So everything always comes down to left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain, and this is why you must take no thought for your life, because in doing so, when you deny the massive appetite of that dying brain, right? You give it an inch, it takes a mile. That's where that allegory comes from. That's where it comes from. If you give the left brain an inch, it will rule the world.
And it thinks that if it waits long enough, it will wear you down. And
That's
you will
right.
be back to the way it was before, the status quo, which to the left brain is it's in control, and the right brain is sequestered in its little partition and it's happy running the show amok. But it thinks that it will wear you down. And that's exactly what the cabal out there,
Exactly.
the ones that haven't been taken down, the minions that are out there, they think that if they just wear us down a little bit. And you know what? Some of them are right. Because some of us are not vigilant enough, and we can be worn down, and we can go back to complacency and allow our power to be taken from us again, and never having maybe felt what real sovereignty, what real essence of who we really are feels like, the magic that we really truly are, to be able to experience that, which none of us have yet, the ultimate of what God created us to be. We haven't gotten to that regeneration of what that feels like, that magnetic, incredible pulsation of love coming through as we're just the regenerated kind man again. Wow. So we haven't felt that yet. And so we haven't gotten to that space. And it would be fairly easy for many of those people out there to be worn down again, and to be lied to and to be tricked and like on the Matrix when what was that dude's name?
The steak eater.
Yeah. He's just like, I just want to taste steak again.
Exactly.
And even though I know it's not
Yeah,
real,
yeah.
and he was willing to give up everybody.
Exactly. And I think that's what separates a wise man and a fool. It's like a fool will like keep making the same mistake. He won't ever learn. And so he sees the danger in it. And then when the conflict comes around again, he just doesn't learn from it. There's nothing different. There's no growth. Whereas the wise man, I would even say a wise man doesn't even have to make the mistake. He can almost see other people make the mistake and not make it for himself. But yeah, no, definitely.
And that's brilliant that you bring that. And Colleen, you're absolutely right. And thank you for interjecting with that. And Eugene, you're so right. Think about the incredible song by the Doobie Brothers, What a Fool Believes. Number one hit single. Everybody knows the Michael McDonald voicey falsettos on that. And Kenny Loggins wrote the lyrics. Michael McDonald wrote the music, and they wrote a lot of songs together that way.
Can you just give us a little Sample.
What a fool believes. This is the one I had the power to reason away. Hey, there's my Michael. To reason away.
Thank you.
Someone, somewhere, and long ago. Yeah, Michael McDonald. So in the song, What a Fool Believes, the wise man has the power to reason away. and essentially, all that wisdom is common sense. This is what all of the greatest minds in history have always reminded us, is that when you peel everything back, at the end of the day, the true gurus of our time are the ones that possessed common sense. And so once again, this is why everything is about rising, because when you rise literally, metaphysically, allegorically, symbolically, when you rise, you're gaining altitude, and altitude gives you perspective, and then perspective puts you above the horizon, upon the level. When you have, this is why we teach this. This is why it's so. This is exactly how it works. The higher you get, and the more you look down upon the level, the more you see of God's truth, and it literally works that way. Why do you think that when these are rats and they love being underneath the ground? Why is it that basement suites, basement apartments are cheap of the cheap, and that's where virtually most people live, especially when they're starting out, is actually beneath the ground in the blood red soil and the blood red rocks? And why do they make purposefully higher you go in a building, more expensive, and the penthouse suites? Well, forget it. You'll never be able to afford a penthouse suite, because they don't want you having any perspective. The more you rise, the more you see. The more you see, the more truth you possess, the greater level you possess, which is common sense. And then suddenly it happens. And that is this translucence. This is this awakening that begins to occur. And then the wise man has the power, but not because you read this book and that book and every other book, and you listen to everybody else under the sun. It's because you simplified your existence. You simplified your eating. You simplified your breathing. You simplified your thought. You simplified the process of how your mind functions. Everything became simpler to you, and then you begin to elevate. That's wisdom. That's what it is. And they always want to tell you that you need this big IQ, and all their intelligent quotients examinations, all they do is always test and reward he who or she who can regurgitate shit. And virtually nothing on those tests is truthful. So all you're doing is you're regurgitating lies.
Yeah, who's the best trained dog?
Exactly,
That's it,
Pavlov.
you know.
And then you raise to the highest of the doghouse, which is still the outhouse, because they never let you in.
So they're literally weeding out all the right brainers. They're weeding out the artists. They're
And
weeding out creativity.
Exactly.
Same thing
And-
with the education system too, you know, like people get like masters and PhDs and all these sorts of things. It's like, well, that only proves that you are able to memorize the things that they told you have to memorize.
Yeah.
So you're a better trained dog than other people. So you're able to make
Follow
it
orders.
follow orders and make it further, because you've already proven that you're willing to spend all this time and energy just participating in the system.
Sell your soul, in other words.
Yeah, exactly.
And the odd one that does exceptionally rise, that has this different way of thinking and is incredibly intelligent, they seek those out too.
Yep.
And then they know how to chop the head off
Exactly.
of those ones, because you can't have those rising above.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like, what's the game they play?
Whack-a-mole.
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 So if whoever's like, I was gonna say, for the people who rise, like the people who are alkaline, because in chemistry there are only two sides, it's acid and alkaline. So for the people who rise, they just want to get you back down and into your uncles again, so you can just keep going.
how can we entice you into a cheese pizza?
Exactly.
Around the wheel you go. That's exactly right. And don't kid yourselves. What Eugene just said, whack-a-mole is their game, and they've made it our game. And that's why when you go to these circuses, which are carnal events with the carnies at the carnival, and you lose they put all these rides. What do all the rides at when you go to a carnival do? They go around and around and
They
around.
actually make you sick,
Yeah.
Then-
dizzy and disoriented.
because you go around and around and around, and then whack-a-mole is everywhere. Whack-a-mole, whack, whack,
And
whack.
deep fried ice cream on a stick.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is about how clever they are is that, you know, at the carnivals, you can for $1 or whatever it is, God knows what it would be now, but you get 3 balls or 1 ball, and you have to throw it and knock down 3 milk bottles. And the fine print is that they know about magnetism, and they know how magnetism works. And those 2 bottom bottles are magnetically held to this fake wood looking thing below.
Oh
It's all metallic.
It's an
And
illusion.
It's
Mhm.
another complete illusion.
Wow.
You throw and you throw and you feel like you just hit it dead center, and you only knock one, or you only the other one sort of partially falls, and it never, because it's the game is rigged. The table is tilted. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. So, and one other point I just wanted to quickly interject. I showed Colleen this last night, and she was so excited to see it. Remember how I've always been sharing with you is that this community in rock and roll, that these were the people who were writing all of these beautiful, and it's a big group, but they were writing all these beautiful tributes to God and teaching God's creation, that they're connected with one another, and that they're kind, and that they help one another. So there's a video that has been released, I think it's a couple of years ago now, but it's it's a video of Michael Jackson from his home, and he's talking to someone, I'm not sure who it was, but he was talking to somebody on the phone, and he was singing "What a Fool Believes" by the Doobie Brothers, and he was just nailing all of these harmony vocal parts, and he's going, yeah, that was me. And so what we find out is that Michael has been helping all sorts of artists throughout the years without taking any credit for it at all, because if Michael puts his name to a lot of these songs, then it overwhelms the band, it overwhelms the songwriter, and then it just becomes, well, it's a hit because Michael, had his voice on it. You talk about a lack of ego, you talk about a kind man, that's Michael McDonald. And
Michael Jackson.
that's Michael. It is Michael McDonald. It's Michael McDonald. It's Michael Jackson. It's it's Toto. It's Steely Dan. It's all of these just beautiful bands, and they're all tied to one another.
Because that's what kind man does. We help each other.
Yes.
Yeah. There's an album and this I mean it's just hilarious. It's so telling. But there's an album that Styx did. And remember, I've told you, I mean, the river Styx comes, directly from Dante's Inferno. And this is how you get out of hell and back into heaven, is this crossing the river. So the river Styx is a very, very big deal in this allegory. And so that's where Styx, the band, took their name from. And their first 3 albums were so literally teaching the Bible that they did not sell a lot of copies. And eventually they began to learn to encode their music and encode their lyrics in the music and turn themselves into more of a sort of a subtle, mainstream rock band. And then they began to have massive success. Styx became one of the biggest selling bands of all time. And so anyone that ever sort of looks down their nose at Styx and their music, no band has paid greater dues than the band Styx, because they are all in with God. And
So they're sticklers.
They are sticklers for God. And so they did an album, and this was, I think, about 2006, 2007. It is an album of covers. I apologize. I forget the title of the album, but it's released around 2006, 2007. And it's an album entirely of covers. And most of the songs they've covered are most of the songs I've created videos for. Every single song that they choose to cover. And look at who are the bands: The Who, and traffic, and it's incredible. So just all of these Gnostic bands, they choose to cover songs, and they chose the most Gnostic songs, the Allman Brothers, and just it's a tremendous album, and it's a tribute, and it just shows you in plain sight who they are, what they represent, and that is celebrating all the bands that taught God. Yep, rock and roll is roll the rock. So thank you, Michael. We love you, Michael. We loved you when you were little, Michael. We loved you when they were attacking you, Michael, at Never Never Land. And we love you behind the scenes, Michael. And we've never doubted, Colleen and I have never doubted you for a second. And because we know what you stand for. All the great artists, whether they're painters, sculptors, writers, songwriters, musicians, whatever, all the greatest artists always leave everything on the table. They leave nothing behind. And so you know who they are. And that's why I always share with everyone, growing up, my best friends in the world were all of these bands, were all of these writers, Professor Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and Agatha Christie and
To be surrounded by greatness, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Passion.
And
And
no
I
regret.
knew them. They were my friends, and I knew them because they wrote their heart and soul. When you write meretriciously, you're writing from your heart and your soul, and you lay everything on your sleeve. You open palms open outward, because you have nothing to hide, nothing to conceal. That's what this is all about. It's not about concealment, it's about revealment. It's openness, because openness leads you to awareness. And that, again, another reason why no one can stop what is coming, because the Q team, the White Hats, have done an amazing job about making all of this righteous and pure, and about the truth, and about God, and about, I mean, Negative 48 coming out and talking about Lord and Lady Christ, bringing credence to what we've been trying to share to you about Jesus Christ and about Mary Magdalene. Look at what the Catholic Church attempted to turn Mary Magdalene into. They tried.
Yeah.
And it won't work. So it's just this rising, which leads to this awareness, and it's about doing your best, which is merit, and this meretricious way of life, not celebration of mediocrity. It's a celebration of greatness.
Yes.
And so, okay.
Yeah. And Colleen was saying, kind man helps, and like meretricious, and you were saying common sense. So I think this is like a revival of common sense, like this great awakening that's happening, because everyone has been so desensitized to just like the most like weirdest perverted things. And like you were saying, it's so lavish to kill yourself early. It's just so backwards, like how people are thinking. So I think it's just like it's a correction, and we're coming back to our senses, kind of a thing.
We are.
Brilliant.
And not having to go to the other end of the spectrum. We can come to the middle and live our balanced life, right?
Yes.
Which is another thing we were talking about today, which is that
Beautiful.
there is no middle ground unless you make it, because we live in a duality. So this is the danger. And we're going to bring Shunya Murti back into this in just a moment, which is, Krishnamurti, and it's all of, and it's the Yogananda. It's all of these wise souls that go deep within themselves. But we live in a duality. So if you're not fully with God, for decades, and maybe for a millennia, you've been able to sort of straddle both sides and play a very dangerous game of calling yourself, a Christian, or calling yourself godlike, but virtually everything you do in your life has become a satanic ritual, because you're all in. You're all in, like all those people. One thing to inoculate yourself, to get the jab for yourself, but you have to do this to your kids. When you are an ignorant fool and you apply your ignorance beyond just yourself, that's when it becomes a crime. That's when it becomes far more than just, you're a fool and what a fool believes. You're a monster. You're a monster when you're forcing this upon your children, and especially babies, who if they, you know, and again, most children, when you introduce them to the concept of meat, nobody likes to talk about this, but virtually all children, when you introduce them to the concept of meat, what will they say? Ooh, I don't want this. Ooh, what are we doing? Ooh, I love animals. No, but you have to eat them to go, you know, and if you don't eat it, you're going to get a time, you're going to your room and you're going to stay in your room. And then, you know, when I
So
let you out, you have to come back. So
your
you're
children.
terrorizing your children to eat meat.
But
And
what
it's
you're-
the worst thing for you.
What the cabal knew is that they could turn us all into reavers.
Yes.
So we become the monsters,
Exactly.
the very monsters that they are. And we would do it to our own children.
Yeah.
That's the disgusting part.
They
And
have, they have
quickly,
to do that
They have
because
to.
because
Yeah.
there's not enough of them and there's not enough influence
Yes.
without, so
Yes.
they have to trick us into being the ones who spread that same sort of filth.
And that's the disheartening thing, that we're sitting here and there's very few people that hear our words, because the majority of them are very close to the full transformation of becoming the monsters that they don't even know
How
that
far
they
they've
have to
gone.
wait, that they have to wake up from. And this couldn't come soon enough for me, this great awakening, because we were on the brink
Yeah.
of many of us not returning to humankind again.
And just take that scene where you're forcing your kid to get a vaccine, like against their will, most likely.
And you can look at the videos, right?
Yes.
oh,
They're everywhere.
It's literally because that's what the Canaanites are doing. They're taking these kids, forcing them against their will, and just completely mutilating them, just violating them. And so the Canaanites are basically just making you MK Ultra, yourself, and your kids. Like, it's just that simple. And then like you were saying, they're turning them into reavers. So they become like them, and they don't know who they are and who God is anymore. So
and just to quickly clarify again, to some that maybe don't know, didn't watch our shows on Firefly, and what a reaver is. The reavers are these human beings that got manipulated by society and eventually through pharmaceuticals. I mean, wow, that's the Firefly movie that was done because they canceled Firefly after the 13th episode, the Christ episode, in when it was on Fox, had incredible viewership in its first year, and they just quickly got rid of it because they were teaching and telling the truth. And so in the movie, which is called Serenity, which is the name of Captain Malcolm Reynolds' ship, Serenity, which is stillness and silence, by the way, peace. And in that movie, the focal point to the movie is that something is radically wrong. And they went to sort of, get to the heart of what it was. And they found out essentially where these reavers came from. And ultimately it is from many, many things, but the final straw was these pharmaceuticals. And we gave it to them we just wanted people to be more tranquil and easy on themselves, but it turned them in. So if you look at how a reaver is spelled, R-E-E-V-E-R-S, reavers. So it's an anagram. And out of reavers, you can make, as Justin was saying, sever or severe. But the key is reverse. Reavers are reverse engineering. So you've heard this before, this reverse engineering. That's what they have been doing to you, to us. This is what's been going on, is societal reverse engineering. And it's all done, not genetically, epigenetically, epi, above the skin. So it's your environment that is doing this to you. And so we are becoming reavers. That's what Colleen is referring to, saying this couldn't have come soon enough, because the vast majority are just so close to becoming completely zombified, which is purely satanic. And again, for most of them, they're not evil at their core, but they're so far asleep. It's just puppets with a puppet master. And the master controls them through frequencies, because as Nikola Tesla said, everything is energy. So therefore everything is frequencies, vibrations and pulses. And remember, frequencies are just numbers. And then all of a sudden -48 comes up, and all he's talking about are numbers, because everything is energy. You at your core are an energetical being. So how you align yourself will determine whether you are awake or not. And Colleen was playing me a little bit of -48, Justin, the other night. And it was funny because, and I just applauded him so much from the sidelines, because there were a lot of people that were calling in, asking questions and saying, and thank goodness I'm so awake, and thank goodness that I'm aware now, and thank goodness. And every time he's going, well, you're awakening, and you're learning to create awareness within you. And he's correcting them because as what we're attempting to say, until the light comes on, until you put oil in your lamp and the light comes on, you're not truly aware. So it's not, again, that's not looking down the nose, because God loves a trier, but until you light the lamp within you, that's awakening. And then you just know these things, and then they come to you, and then you can speak a little bit, because it's just downloading to you in real time at hyper speeds. How about the song that I put up a couple of days ago from Chicago, which is encoding the necessity for meditation in the song 25 or 624. And again, in that song, they're praising the necessity to sit cross-legged, cross-legged on the floor, 25 or 624. So again, all this reference to stilling the mind, controlling oneself, slowing the pace of life down, and starting to become the observer. Observe what's going on, see what's happening behind you and what's ahead of you. And then you begin to gain perspective. And as soon as you gain perspective, you begin to rise. And that's where wisdom comes from. So hopefully that has inspired everyone else to go on a big run.
Well, I mean, we talk about reavers and this progressing zombification.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this before, but that's why this plan has had to have been so meticulous,
yes,
and so thorough, because if the switch is activated, if it didn't have to be this way in 2016 or earlier, they would have gone ahead with it. They would have announced everything. They would have said military's in control and gone forward with it. But because we were so far inured with this disease that was spreading and this zombification, that if they had activated that plan too early, then far too much of the population would have awoken to this rage mode, where they would have turned on anyone who was speaking the truth, anyone who was threatening the very existence, well, not their existence, but their left brain's existence.
Exactly, which would have been Donald Trump, right, Justin?
Yep, exactly.
He would have been the poster child. It would have been, if they'd have done this the way that you wanted them to do it, people would not have believed the video images and the documents that would have been released to prove what is going on. They just would have said that this is a Hitler-like, stormtrooper coup d'etat of American democracy, right? Which of course doesn't exist. It hasn't existed for the longest time. So, but that's what would have happened. So when you wonder why there's a movie, why this plan has taken time, I think it's moving at actually quite a fast pace. But the reason, as Justin is saying, is because if they just tried to bully this through in 2016 with Trump, remember, just 3 days after Junior's plane went down in '99. So this is like July, sometime around July 20. Donald Trump went on Larry King, and he basically announced to the world, he announced that JFK Jr. is alive because there was a letter that was postmarked after his plane supposedly had crashed. I don't know how JFK Jr. did that, if he was in the plane and died. But Larry King pointed that out, and very few people Donald Trump pointed that out, but very few people chose to hear it and see it. in plain sight. But he announced his presidency on that show. And he said, I can't tell you which presidential run I do, but I'm announcing that this country is so far gone and I love this country so much. And I feel like I need to do something to shift this imbalance of evil that is existing within the United States. And that's exactly what it's done. So since 2000, they've gone out of their way to portray Donald Trump as a nut. And by 2016, 50% of the population, that's exactly what they thought. And probably more than 50% earthwide, more than 50% probably just instinctively didn't like or didn't trust Donald Trump. That's because you're programmed. That's because you were programmed. We all felt that to a degree. So no one's looking down their nose at you. We're all affected by their programming, but call it for what it was. They were programming against Donald Trump. Why? Because they didn't own him. Why did they do what they did to Michael Jackson? Because they didn't own him. And it tells you that they didn't own him, because if they'd have done this, Michael Jackson would have just said, hey, why are you attacking me? I can give you names, locations, dates, addresses. I can give you details up the yin yang of all of these children at all of these different houses. He didn't do that because Michael Jackson didn't know that. That's why certain people get attacked. Mel Gibson, right? Suddenly Mel Gibson is just a huge drinker. Do you remember Cary Grant in North by Northwest by Alfred Hitchcock? Hitch was showing us how the elites destroy you, right? You know, show up, hit you over the back of the head, and then they
Get a couple of guys to force down a bottle and then put you in a car and say, you go to town.
That's right.
And he's just drunk out of his mind, trying to get to town because he knows what they've done.
Yeah.
And you end up crashing your car and drunk driving.
That's right. And then the media chimes in and they never let it go.
Maybe you killed somebody.
Yeah.
Just all sorts of things.
Yeah, but it's, going back to the fact that this plan had to be so thorough, because if activated too early, it would have been disastrous. It's really important to remember that. And so for anyone who continues to ask me or anyone else, like, why would Trump allow all this stuff to happen? Like, why is this playing out? So people are suffering and stuff is happening and people are getting hurt. And if you're asking those kind of questions, you're failing to look at it from the right perspective, from that high perspective, like we talked about at the beginning of the show. Take a higher look and see that if this happens too quickly, then all is not, and nothing can stop what is coming. It's not going to change the trajectory, but again, we get to choose how painful this experience is.
Exactly.
And so if it is done too hastily, then it becomes very disastrous and much more chaotic and much more deadly and gruesome. So anything that anyone's complaining about now magnifies 100-fold if it's not done correctly. So everything that's being done is calculated. It's done in the precise way that it needs to be done, and we just have to see that this is God's plan and it is happening for a reason. So let go of that fear. Let go of the fear that, it's not happening on my timeline from my limited perspective, so it must be false.
Hey, and Justin, how about I want you to speak to this as well, but the proof in the pudding is now everybody got set upon with the release of this nonsense COVID thing in March of 2020. But look at who pushed back and look at who's not getting these horrible lockdowns and who's not being tormented in the streets, and you can't go. Look at countries like Germany, look at countries like France, and look at how things have gotten so much better in England since everybody started standing up for themselves. And who is still getting tormented up the yin yang? Canada to a degree, and then New Zealand and in particular Australia, because that's showing you the top 10 of who has capitulated to the cabal, who's all about the materialistic plane, and who doesn't give a shit about God.
Did y'all see the video about the Aboriginals and the tribes that are standing up in Australia and saying we are united with you, brother, and we are sovereign, and you can come under our sovereignty and be protected? It's just like, wow, I was in tears and just listening to that whole.
Exactly. And then I said to Colleen, and then Colleen's like, exactly, higher minded people, which is what Justin's talking about. So what first thing I said was, and that's hilarious, because these are the Aboriginals in Australia saying to the panicking materialistic white people, saying that you can come onto our land, you can be safe and have protection under our sovereignty, because we don't recognize their queen and their lies. These are the same people that have thrown the Aboriginals in Australia under the bus, under the tank, with grenades tied around their ankles. And then how do the Aboriginals pay them back? With love, with
Open
kindness,
arms.
with open arms, with a higher mindedness,
What
which
he
is
actually
exactly what
said
Justin
was,
was saying.
Now you Australians see how we felt for 200 and some years being treated by these people.
Wow.
Now you're being treated the same way,
Karma.
and we will stand beside you. And I was just like, just crying, because it's like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Mm.
Thank you, right,
Yeah.
for that amazing.
Lesson, because
Yeah.
that's what we're all going to
amazing
have to
lesson.
do.
Yeah, it's true.
Which, yeah, it's like we're all experiencing the karmic repercussions of our actions or inaction, whichever it is. Complacency, not choosing, is still a choice, and we've discussed that before. So if you're pretending like, oh, I'm just not going to worry about things, it doesn't affect me or my family, then I'm just not going to worry about it. Well, that complacency, that not choosing, is what allows it to get to this point where all of a sudden you're confronted with the repercussions of your actions or inactions. And
Where they're
that's
coming for you for the FEMA camps.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
Suddenly you're dialing up someone who can help you, and there's
Right.
nobody there.
because God was always presenting you with things to learn those lessons without the need for the drastic, all in your face smack on the head. But you chose not to. You chose not to learn the lesson. You chose to experience it again. And every time we experience a lesson over again, it gets worse and worse and worse, because God is just trying to be like, hey, get back on the path. And so we've gotten so far away from the path that our lesson had to be so huge. It had to be massive, and it had to be painful, and it had to be very shocking. And we chose this. And so we have to embrace that and work through it and move through it. There's no bypassing it. There's no getting around it at this point.
There's no sweeping it under the rug.
No,
Because
no,
that just
no
creates a
more.
bigger problem. And speaking of sweeping things under the rug and karma, I feel like Trump almost served as a role of a detoxing agent to like everyone. Like, like there were so many toxic people, as Charlie was saying, just when they see Trump, they're triggered immediately. Well, because they're intoxicated. So when
Yes.
someone comes and tries to give you balance, which is literally the opposite of toxification, because it's an imbalance. And everyone's like, no, we don't want that. And balance is literally justice. So they didn't want justice. They wanted to live in this, immoral, completely satanic world. And negative 48 says something interesting. He said, like, let them do their dark acts in the open, because now the light is on it. So it's dark to light. Like it's just in plain sight. Like they're just showing you how deprived they were. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. The brilliance of accepting God into your life is the wisdom to see the truth in every single moment, because you're becoming the light of the world. So when darkness has the balls to present itself before the light of God, all that they do is reveal themselves. That's why this is called the great reveal, because there's nothing that they can do. Nothing can stop what's coming, because demons going to be demons no matter what.
Yes.
And when they present themselves, when they attempt to sugarcoat it, no longer will you fall for the illusion, right? All it is at the end of the day is this little Zionist fake Jew behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz with a big voice telling you better get out of my way, or else you better do this, or else. That's all it is. It's just a man with a microphone or a megaphone behind a curtain. And you fall for it. God said brain, you thought he said rain, and you ran for cover. Be the observer. Slow your life down. Take a load off of Fanny and put the load right on God, and then start to become the observer. And this is a perfect moment after all of those wisdoms that you guys were sharing to bring Shunya Murti back into the conversation. And we were talking about it on last week's show as well, and how what he is teaching right now, how it really just ties in everything that Colleen and I have been attempting to share for the last 3 years, which is that you're coming into an astrological reality. So you saw it last December at the winter solstice with the unification of the Father and the Son, Jupiter and Saturn, the Father and the Son. They became one light. They became one light. You can't fake that stuff. That's real. That's God. And this is this unification. And so what it just means is you can't straddle the fence any longer. And so I'll ask Justin and Eugene to just speak to this concept that we're entering into reality where it's either or. And remember, or is the gold. So either is to opt out. So you're either all in with gold, God, or you're all out in the outhouse. And you don't want to be in the outhouse because that's the root Muladhara chakra, and there's no gold there.
It's the time of choosing. I mean, the Bible talks about harvest. This is harvest. This is where, I mean, part of this dualistic experience is to experience the duality, but you have to choose. You have to choose in order to experience it fully. If you're just lukewarm, if you're just straddling the fence, God will spit you out of his mouth. And that's part of it, because there's no true experience gained from this half-ass kind of complacent attempt to, play the game. If you're going to play the game, play it right and go to the right or go to the left. And as I've said before, if you choose that path, like, good luck to you, because you're my enemy, and everything in my existence will be to remove you. But play the game, choose your path. And so now we're being forced to make that choice because we've sat so long in this complacency. So everything that's coming to us is designed to make a decision one way or another. You could decide, do I go further into this fear-based reality where I'm putting on 7 masks and injecting myself like 100 times before I feel like I'm okay, but no, that's not enough. Let's do some more, and let's continue going down that fear path. And oh yeah, let's berate anyone else who's not on that fear path. And that's a choice. Or you can choose to return to our birthright and what we're here to do, which is, as children of God, we're here to experience this physical plane and come and reunite with our father and mother and come back to this, this perfect union, complete the marriage, and we get to choose, but there is no not choosing.
Not anymore. And that's
that
what
time is
Justin has
done.
been saying. People have been straddling the fence for far too long. And now God is just simply saying, I have moved the left and the right path so far apart that there are no gymnastics that you can do to maintain this any longer. So you are going to fall, and then you have to choose. That's what this is. This is that time of choosing. Go ahead, Eugene.
Yeah, no, I think it's perfect that you were talking about the harvest, because I remember Gospel of Thomas saying, like, let the weeds grow, like don't take out the weeds right away. Let the
That's
weeds
right.
grow so they're conspicuous, and on the harvest day, then we can take it all out. That's exactly what's happening right now. And it's so
Yeah.
funny that we're in front of a fire right now, because it's like the perfect metaphor. Like the fire is coming, like the baptism of fire is coming, whether you like it or not. And that's like plasma or radiance. It's all the same thing. So when you're in the light, what are you going to do? Because it's going to completely destroy all impurities. Like only what is pure, only what is one with the element will remain. So, and that's like the whole metaphor of like, get gold, buy gold from me. Jesus saying, buy gold from me. Because yeah, you only want to subscribe to the eternal things, no more space for death. Yeah.
Yeah, the vast majority of the world become Death Eaters in every single sense: death of thought, death of breath, and of course, death of food. And
And the
wow.
story never ends well for Death Eaters.
No,
They usually die.
so
Right.
that's right, and painfully so. I mean, that's what the samsara has just become for people. We have become so good at failing at this game that virtually where we're at now is that you're 60 and good luck if you get very far past 60 at this point. That's how bad it's become. And so your life is to be born, is to grow, to become sick, to start dying, and then die, and then you come back around the wheel, and you are and in this case, you're no longer born, you're birthed back into what your vibrational energy is attracted to, which is the maritime admiralty law system of the Catholic Church, which is the Phoenicians, which are the Canaanites. So that's all that essentially mankind has done. They've be no longer mankind, we've become human beings. There's no way that human beings can be the correct expression for us. It's just a colloquialism that we've all taken to, that somebody put in our mind to use. Because you look at ancient texts, they don't call, if you go back and do this for yourself and you read from every culture, they don't use the word human. I've never seen the word human used in any of these ancient writings. It's a modern construct. And if it's a modern construct, the Cabal created it, guaranteed. And there's no way that we are human beings, because that's a maskware. Those are shades of gray instead of black and white. Everything should be crystal clear in black and white if you just have a little bit of perspective. So yeah, that's a really great analogy, and that's where the vast majority are. And Shunyamurti, and I know Eugene can elaborate on this further, but the brilliance of Shunyamurti is what he's teaching his fellows. Now, he's not saying anything that I've heard. He's not saying anything about Q or white hats or whatever. He's acknowledging that there is an action afoot, and that the action is a godly action, and that this Eugene just went to get some more firewood, and the dogs went with him. But you've heard how good the dogs have been all night. The little barking you've heard are dogs in the area. They're not ours. Our pups have been so wonderful.
Yeah, they have been great tonight.
So, but just getting back to that, what Krishnamurti is or Shunyamurti is saying is that in this moment, this is all about a choice, that you're no longer being allowed the luxury to try to play it safe or attempt to find a middle ground, and because and here's what Shunyamurti said, and I just loved it so much because I love hearing the truth. And so what he said is that if you're not, and it's always been this way, but he said it's just accentuated now, and then there are consequences right now. You're making choices that are going to affect you for 1,000 years. So what he's saying is that if you're not, choose wisely, because if you're not all in, and this is the thing, right now, God is saying to you, I'm forcing you to be all in. So you're going to make a choice, and then you're all in with the consequences of your decision. So if you're not all in with God, then what Shunyamurti is teaching is that you're all in with Satan. And Satan is only the absence of God.
Yes.
And the miracles end, and the divinity and the beauty and the righteousness and the purity ends. And this is where children become a food source for a Kabbalistic ruling class. See how this all works? Everything is energy, and the consequences to low energy are horrific, horrifying, because energy is everything. So it permeates everyone and everything. And this is why we find ourselves where we are, with these darkest and darkest and darkest of secrets that are now coming to the light, and everyone is repelled by it. So this is that moment. If you don't cast thy net to the right and go all in with God right now, you're saying you're all in with Satan, and that will affect you for the next 1,000 years. This is what the book of Revelation was teaching. It was profoundly teaching that you have a choice to make. That's what Revelation is all about. And it's saying in this New Testament, we showed you the way with Jesus Christ, and now it's up to you.
Yeah, and, I was talking to a friend earlier about this, and yeah, this is just perfectly aligning with Shunyamurti, that this whole satanic thing is a worship of a fragment. So you're
really?
so enjoying being a certain like part, like you would say 1 degree of 360, that you're just, I don't know, you're rooted there, you're stuck there. When in reality, there's all this other leeway. There's the whole truth. There's the holistic realm where you can hang out in. And yeah, I lost my train of thought.
No, just keep following it, because that's brilliant. So what Shunyamurti is essentially saying is that if you don't cast thy net to the right and go all in with God right now, then you're a fractal. So you are one aspect of the 360. And then what he said to that is that you've got dime store logic, dime store reason, and therefore dime store wisdom. And he said, you're going to be stuck with your dime store reality. And the dime store is the 10% left brain, is the carnal reality. And that is going to be your reward for the next 1,000
And
years.
that's the 10% that God says, tithe to me.
Yeah.
Give it to
Yep.
God. Give God that 10%, because Lord knows I've been fighting that ego for so long and it ain't working. I
Well,
got to give it to God.
Yeah, that's right. And
I
remember,
can't do it on my
Yes.
own.
Yes.
nowhere in the Bible does it say tithing, whatever you think that means. The Bible makes it so clear that it's the carnal beast of your left brain. I mean, it literally makes it just whack you over the head. It's the dragon, it's the beast, it's the carnal monster of your left brain. But what it's saying, never in the Bible does it say, give whatever this is to a church. Never says, give whatever this is to a priest. It never says that. It says one thing and one thing only when it talks about tithing. Melchizedek is this: it has to be given to God, and it's something that only you can do. And what are we teaching you? God is stillness and silence within. God is within. What does Jesus Christ teach you? That the kingdom of heaven is within you. So when you go within, the only way to go within is to calm the insanity, which is the chaos of the left brain. That's paying the ferryman the dime to cross the river. You cross the river through meditation, and that's paying the dime, because the casualty is your left brain. The left brain can't exist in the right brain. So when you spend your existence casting your net to the right, you don't suffer from an ego, regardless of what anyone attempts to tell you. You can't suffer from the ego if you're constantly casting your net to the right, because there is no left in the right.
And look at the word surrender.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
How many
19, by
Rs?
the way. It comes to 19. I remember
Wow.
48, negative
Okay,
48.
so surrender has 3 R's in it. R is action, right? R is
it
the
is the-
Kundalini rising.
Is the rising.
And so that's the only way to give your ego the
Yeah.
balance that it needs, is to give it to God.
Yeah.
Surrender.
So
it.
Sue,
Because we're so stubborn
yeah.
in
And
that left brain.
and remember, from Latin, Sue is you in plural or in multiples. So the many, double R, SURR. And what do we teach you about when there are 2 letters consecutively? Take a look, because when there's 2 letters, it means you need to use 2 of your eyes. You need to stop your physical senses and take a hard look at what's being said. Because when 2 letters in a row, stop and look and listen, hear and embrace is what's being said. So Sue, you, double R, which is rising, powerfully rising within yourself into the E, which is the ether, where there is no end. There's just, trying to get out of the physical. And then ER, which again you can look at as, in the ether rising, or RE, which is rightfully establishing yourself at the right hand side of
And
God.
SUR is south. Sir is south. And so you're at the south end. You've hit bottom. You've got to give it to God.
You are so
You have
far from
nowhere
the
to
North
go
Pole.
at that point butt up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's why I always remember Charlie talking about survey, because it's south view, which means you're standing at the top. And then, yeah, so surrender, and then, yeah, render unto serve. So kind of give it up too. And at the same time, I remember Jesus saying, like, rest in my yoke, for it is light or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
And that's exactly it. It's like, just give it unto him, because again, his burden is light. Like it's
Literally.
yeah.
Photonic light.
Yeah.
I can handle this magnetically.
Exactly. That's what the ascended masters are all saying. And then that's all that any one of us ever need to simply do, is to simply take a load off Fanny and put the load right on God. That is to take the load of thinking that you are in charge of all of this, and that it's up to you without any truth in your life, right? Because that's what schools exist for, is to eradicate any form of truth and just to make the kingdom of this false heaven just nothing but lies, which is satanic, which is Satan. And that's what this is all about. So that is the opposite of surrendering. It's surrendering is letting go and rising, letting go of the weight, and then you rise. And what the society tells you to do is bear these weights, is to staple them to you and to make them badges of honor.
Exactly.
And
I'm wearing a mask.
yeah, yeah.
I got the jab. Did you get the jab? I got the jab.
Look at this scar. Look at that scar. I got this injury back when I did this. When no.
I'm more of a victim than you know.
Exactly. I got this victim card. But I mean, that's again the fragmentary thing, because I'm holding on to this lie, and this lie makes me special because I don't want to be the whole truth. No, I don't. I want to be deceived, and because I'm deceived, I get some number. Satan, will you reward me?
And that's that. This is what Shunyamurti is simply saying, is that this is the path that you follow, and that at the end of the day, you're just looking for a handout from anybody, and it doesn't matter who. So Satan, can you help me out here? And he's like, yeah, I got a lollipop with your name on it, always, yeah, because it creates the wrong kind of cavity. Okay, continue. Come on. So what we're saying is nothing can stop what is coming. What is coming is this choice. So let's just make this so clear. The Cabal have been taken down, but evil lingers. Evil lingers. Why? Because what did Nikola Tesla say? Everything is energy. So
Evil grows in the cracks and holes and lives in people's minds.
exactly, because it can't go anywhere, because we live in a self-contained unit, whether within ourselves or within this earth, however you want to look at that, as above, so below, within, so without. We live in these controlled systems, these controlled environments, and so you have to eject by rejecting the darkness within you and filling it up with light. And that's how you do it. The moment that you reject what you were and the pain body that defines you, and you just simply say, no, it doesn't matter who I was yesterday or even a moment ago, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the now. Who am I now? And all I know is that God is the creator. He is a genius. And when we fell, instead of being angry with us, instead of falling out of the singularity of heaven, we only ever took nourishment from the right brain through the thought of God. And we fell into this hell upon earth, which is the duality. Instead of hating us, he loved us so much, he gifted us a mother. And then he gave us the child of all children to show us the way. And that is the Christed one. And every single culture on earth has a Christed child. Every one. There isn't one. There isn't one. They tried to tell you that this Christianity thing is just, based in and around the Mediterranean. Well, that's only because any kind of references or books that have come out of antiquity have only come out of the Mediterranean area. But if you do your own research and you begin to look at the far reaches of this earth, they all talked about this one story. They all talked about the gift of the mother and then this raising of the child, and this child would not be stopped and would become eternally showing us the way because he is the light of the earth. And this is what's happening. And this is what you have to do. This is what this is all about. Saying no to the cabal doesn't end this. If
Starts it almost.
it just starts this process, and the process is eradicating evil from the earth. And there's only one way to do it. Take no evil thought, because every action comes from your thought, and every thought comes from your brainwaves, and your brainwaves are determined by your breathing and by your food. It all starts with the building blocks, which is what we've tried to focus on to help you. What is the solution? It's just right core, basic building block kind of stuff. The food that you're eating needs to be righteous. You think killing an animal and eating death to have life is righteous? You think Mother Earth is just so thrilled that you're participating in a system of meat, dairy, and eggs that's now controlled. Don't kid yourselves, it's controlled by one company, but they show you five main companies that own all of the slaughterhouses now in the United States of America. So you have this tiny group that is giving you meat, dairy, and eggs. And when somebody says something different, they spend their vast wealth in the media to just attack, and make you look like a kook or a lunatic. And
I'm just hoping at the Great Awakening that everyone will just take a look around and just go, turning their stomach at the fact that they're eating a piece of ham or
Yeah.
somebody's body part.
or a Pop-Tart. There's nothing in a Pop-Tart that's real. Nothing. You think the jam that's inside has any kind of life, whether that be a blueberry or a raspberry or a strawberry Pop-Tart? There's no strawberry in there.
Only a name alone.
Yeah, there's no strawberry in there. Everything is fake. That's what processed foods are.
Natural flavors.
Yes, and that,
Negative 48 was saying that there was some sort of a red dye that people were putting in foods, right?
Yeah.
It actually came from a beetle. It's the guts of a beetle. And that's still exactly what it is. It's called carmine or something. Carmine. Yeah, it's so when you look in your ingredients and you see something that says like carmine, it's the red guts of that beetle. And that's what people are eating for flavor enhanced.
And a lot of there's another one, the beaver anus gland is another one that's a natural flavor, and they can say it's natural because it comes from the anus gland
they've
of a
spent
beaver.
how many years trying to find the most disgusting things to put in our food to make us the most disgusting, vile creatures that we could be.
perfume.
It's all the grand conspiracy. How far can we be disconnected?
But we're the conspiracy nuts. Well, it's all coming out, people. And so, you'll see what we've been eating and you'll be disgusted by it, I hope.
I
And
hope so.
Some-
Or you
yeah.
can choose to go deeper into it, and bravo, or
then we'll have a breakaway society.
have
and
fun
we'll
with
no
that.
longer-
have fun with that.
Yeah.
But
That's
not,
right.
not me.
And some might remember, but this is I think about 2 years ago, but I posted an article about what gelatin is and how virtually all processed foods use gelatin to stabilize. So if you've ever eaten ice cream, you've consumed gelatin. Anything that they need to coagulate, gelatin is a key role. Remember, I did that article on Facebook about what gelatin is, where it comes from, and what the process to make.
And I had no idea at that point what gelatin was. Like, the gummy bears, you always think, because they're the fruit flavored gummy bears, you can get the vitamins for your children. You're like, oh, that will be good for my child. And then you discover and then you watch them in these large vats with all these animal bones and skin, and they're stirring it, and the gelatin is coming to the top, and you're just like,
Yep.
that's Jello. That's the kids' Jello.
Yep.
Those fuckers have been feeding us disgusting pieces of flesh of all sorts of creatures and laughing at us.
And you're shocked that McDonald's has human DNA in their burgers. And wait till you find out. I did a thing on Facebook as well about Taco Bell. Wait till you find out about Taco Bell And remember what I said, if you've eaten hot dogs, or if you sausages, or if you've eaten ground beef, you've probably eaten human before. Because they've been putting in it from essentially from day one. And Taco Bell make a run for the border. That if that isn't code for pedophilia and child trafficking, I don't know what is. And look at the Taco Bell logo over the years. It's pedophilia and child trafficking 101, all their symbolism in it. And so what has been coming out over the last 20 years now? Taco Bell, people in their food, people in their food. Told you about Soylent Green. The reason that they did that movie is to show you in plain sight what they're doing to you.
So thank God for this awakening.
And as Colleen said, it couldn't come a moment too soon. This was left to, in my opinion, to the last second. It truly was. And we owe not just a debt of gratitude, we owe everything. We owe everything to whomever the architects of this are. And I can tell you that when you find out, and I don't want to get into great detail about this tonight. When you find out who the true architects on earth of God's plan are, you're going to be blown away. And remember what I've shared with you all along. When this finally kicks into full motion, there will be no doubt left that God is real, that God is our creator, that God is all powerful, that God loves us, and that this is God's plan. There will be zero doubt. And I'm not just talking about those that are here, obviously, will know this. I'm talking about all of the Canaanites as well. Everyone that chose and chose poorly, they're going to know. They're going to know. This is what the book of Revelation teaches you. You are going to know the consequences of the decision that you made. That's why Revelation talks about 1,000 years of darkness, 1,000 years of darkness. And it is true. And and none of us have anyone to blame but ourselves, because at the end of the day, it's all about sovereignty, because we are sovereign beings. Now, Eugene, do it for us. Break down the significance, the holy significance of the word sovereign.
Let's see. So, I mean, as we talked, the sine wave and then S over. So the sine wave that's over, and then reign, which is like to rule. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, I see sovereignty as owning yourself. So it's an own is an anagram for now. So when you're sovereign, you're not kind of caught in a past contract, which means you're present, like you're here. And so you're kind of in full control. And also what goes hand in hand with sovereignty is responsibility. And I know we were trying to get into that. And responsibility is the response of Abel. And I think that's exactly it. It's like, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Well, you brought up a really, what you're saying is correct. And you brought up a really great point with using the sort of the anagram of own into now. But you see, you ever notice how with theater, for example, which became the first sort of art form of visual entertainment, how the tradition was always in 3 acts? And why are so many things always done in 3 acts? And that miracles always come in 3s: Father, Mother, Child, hallowed Trinity, Holy Trinity, hallowed Trinity, Father, Mother, Child. But take a look at the miracle of sovereignty and no longer being owned. So here's the miracle in 3 simple steps. You're owned by the ruling cabal, to waking up and living in the now, and then you've won.
Exactly.
The 3 miracle words telling you the whole game, the one story, and why you exist is to stop being owned, to live in the now, and then you've won. It doesn't get any simpler. I mean, we've literally broken it down for you into 1 3-letter word, the miracle of 3. Stop being owned. You're a debtor when you are owned. God made you a creditor. You possess the treasure of treasures within you.
So really, it's the Holy Trinity of the one.
Yes.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
When,
So
when,
it's the one.
Neo.
when the now is twisted, you become owned
Exactly.
because it's all
Exactly.
just twisted around. It's the
Exactly.
same letters.
But yeah, so you were saying one, and when you're victorious as in one, but also when you're one, and you're only living when you are one. Because if you're not one, if you're not united within yourself, then you are degenerating. You're not living.
Yeah.
So
Why are you suffering? Too many minds. Too many minds. What was that? Ridiculous. They had Tom Cruise ruin the movie with his appalling acting or attempted acting skills. But
Which one?
that's the one where it was about the samurai in Japan,
The
and
Last
he-
Samurai.
was it The Last Samurai?
I believe.
And he was hired to, to help build a railroad and to bring down this ridiculous relic known as the samurai, who lived by the Bushido. And the Bushido are the 7 heavenly virtues, by the way. And that's why Japan's flag has always been the rising sun, because every day when the sun rises, they go with it, because they are a godly nation. That's why they were with Adolf Hitler in Germany in World War II. And that's why they were destroyed by the Cabal. And, they dropped a nuclear bomb on Japan, because they have to destroy centers of godliness on earth. They absolutely have to. And so it all looks, but now look at the word one, and we talk about one in the miracle of 3. So we just did the miracle of own to now, and then you've won. And now look at the one. When, as Eugene and Justin were both saying, when you are you remove too many minds, which would be the left brain, and you just come to the oneness of stillness and silence and knowing with God in the right brain. When you have one, then you're new. That's why Jesus Christ is always associated with the word new. That's why he's in the New Testament, because he's resurrected. R-E is new, is to be reborn again. So re is new. One leads you to neo. So let's look at these 3 words. When you go to one, you become neo in the matrix, and then you live for an eon.
yeah, I was thinking that.
There's your miracle of 3 words, and the miracle of the 3, the Hallowed Trinity again. So when you go to one, you become neo. Neo is just simply code for Jesus Christ. That's why he was the chosen one. That's why Harry Potter is the chosen one. That's why in all these movies, they call these people the chosen ones, because God's calling all of you and all of us. God calls everyone. That's why when I was decoding the 11:11 for everyone, why when I was decoding 11:11, I said, pick up the phone, because God is constantly calling you, because he's in stillness and silence. The miracles of this world have to come through us. There have to be people who will stand up and say, Father, ask and I will do, regardless of where it takes me to. For I fear not, God, for I walk with you and on every peak and in the depth, the deepest part of every valley. I am with you, Father. That's wearing the armor of God. So you are being called, but nobody's picking up the phone. Nobody's picking up the phone. Why? Because you kind of like eating hot dogs, because you kind of like eating hamburger meat, because you kind of like eating sausages. And so
It's a
you're
nice social thing to do.
you're kind
At
of
parties
okay.
and-
Yeah, with eating children.
Yeah, it means
It-
you're kind of okay with the multiple personality.
Yeah. And
Being the fractal, yeah, of a schism.
And that's what Shunyamurti talks about too, that there is no time for these other personalities, that you have to come back into the one, which is the united with the divine. And then in that word divine, the balanced divine, right? The die and then the divine means that you're an avatar consciousness. So there is no difference between you and God, or you and me and Justin, or me and Charlie. We're all the same consciousness embodying different. Yeah.
Brilliant. And remember, just to finish the story that we started a while back about Shunyamurti, and Eugene just brought it back up. What he was basically saying, Eugene just said, you no longer have the time. Time is being taken away from you. because time is not real. All that's being revealed is the now, and then you've won if you accept the now. So this is the gift of gifts. But what Shunyamurti was saying is that if you cling to the dime, if you cling to the fractal, if you cling to your left brain, then you're going to reap the rewards of this harvesting. And it was brilliant.
Because
I
the
called
rewards are
Colleen
always
quickly.
built into the work.
The
that you
reward,
do.
that's exactly right. And so he said, you will have a fractal of love in your life. You'll have a fractal of wisdom in your life, and you will have a fractal of divinity in yourself. In other words, when you cling to that left brain, your reward is just, and you will reap what you righteously deserve. And if you cling to Satan, which is that dime brain, then you're going to get dime love, and you're going to get dime health, and you're going to get dime wisdom. That's exactly what Shunyamurti said. It
So
was
and in how
absolutely
many
brilliant.
lifetimes is that what we've chosen?
Yeah.
And at this point, we have an opportunity to choose better, because why? Because we know better.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've played this game enough times.
Played this game
It's
enough
time to play
times.
another one.
Yep.
It's
And
time to move
literally
on.
clinging to the dime just means, like Charlie was saying earlier, that you don't want to have something that is new. You don't want to renew. And then this brings up the word anu, because he's bringing in the anew, like the Father is constantly, refreshing, renewing, and he's just, I don't know how to say, he's just truth. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he just keeps coming again every single year, just like Jesus keeps rising every single morning, and the Father keeps coming every single year, coming every 14 days. And you have to build a fort to be able to rule these energies. If you're not in charge of you, then they will be in charge of you. See, someone is always in charge, because everything is energy, and any energy is all about
charge and discharge.
charge and discharge. So if you remain the victim as the electrical being, then you're going to be continually animal prodded, and they're going to charge you in your ass with a powerful electrical shock. Why do you think everything the Cabal does? Why do you think MK Ultra is all about electric shock therapy? It's all they know.
Yeah.
It's all they know. That's all they do. They don't go to the right. They don't know magnetism. They know enough about magnetism to steer us away from it. And then they keep us all electrical beings.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, all we have become are cattle, and they are prodding us in their direction, their right direction, to the 2020. So thank God that God always knew that 2020 or 2012 was always the year for declaration. This is what it's about. It is to take away this false clarity that is within all of us. And then this is that moment where you choose to be a Death Eater forever, or to resurrect and then have the kingdom of heaven. So Jacob crossed the river in Genesis. Abraham crossed 2 deserts in Genesis. Noah created at 500 years of age, created an ark, and took his wife and his sons, and 2, that's an allegory, 2 of every single of the duality with him, but he was in charge of the duality within. So they didn't pee and they didn't poo, and he didn't have a huge mess, because he was in charge of it all, because he put God first. There was only one window in the ark. Where was that window?
Huh.
Straight
Over
up,
the pineal.
straight up. And where did the ark land? Allegorically,
On the
and
mountain.
then physically
Wow.
in the Armenian mountaintops. Up and to the right,
Wow.
up and to the right. Everything is up and to the right. Let the cream rise, the creme de la creme. See, this is something else, and I want Justin to jump back into this as well. But this is something all 3 of us, Eugene, Colleen, and I were talking about today again. And this is that you must embrace this truth. And that is, you are the pinnacle of God's creation. You are the highest high. You are 99. You are the highest high. And you are the pinnacle of pinnacles. You're the holiest of holies. And you're parading yourself around like a joke. None of this is a joke. All of this is the gift of a lifetime. All of this is a miracle. and you're treating it like it's a joke when you are everything. And then when people like us come along and tell you this, then so many just viciously attack out. And essentially, what are you saying? I'm not special, and you're an idiot. You're a goof. You're a moron. People stay away from this person because he's saying that we're special and we're not, no, we're just like dinosaurs. And then, the flying squirrels will come after us. It's just, wow, you are fighting to the ends of the earth for Satan. And you are denying the simple, perfect truth that you are the pinnacle. You're the creme de la creme. That's why all these dark sayings of old exist, to teach you that you are the apple of God's eye. Adam and Eve, you are the apple of God's eye. And if we're the apple of God's eye, when you eat an apple from the tree of duality, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then that's cannibalism. Do you get it? Where did we fall to? We fell into duality, which is being dominated by the left brain. What's the left brain? Cain. What did Cain do to Abel? He cannibalized Abel. Cain ate Abel. When we revealed that, people just went, holy shit. Colleen and Charlie, wow. Cain ate Abel, cannibal. When we ate of the apple in the Western garden where God said not to go, and we are the apple of God's eye, that's cannibalism. And you know that that's true because the Bible metaphorically shows you this right away in the beginning of Genesis, in the story of Cain and Abel. And Cain didn't just slew Abel and wasn't just cast east of Eden. He ate Abel. And this is the beginning of these fucking monsters that have created this absolute insanity. And they're telling you that everything is okay, that everything is perfectly normal, and it's complete insanity.
Yeah, I mean, when we fail to recognize that we are children of God, that we are the pinnacle of God's creation, we're accepting this victim personality, this false egoic construct, which has to exist that way because all our ego wants to do is to shirk responsibility as much as possible at any point in time. Because as soon as we assume responsibility, as soon as we say, I acknowledge who I am and where I come from and what I'm here to do, as soon as I say, I am this, I am, then we are letting go of this idea that our ego needs to have any say on what we do or how we think or how we operate. So the ego loves to put, and the cabal is just the personification, it's just the external representation of our ego. So all our ego wants to do, all the cabal wants to do, is to get us into these victim roles, how can, oh, woe is me, or how can you be more of a victim than that person? How can we say, how can you play that part? Which every time we sink further into that victim mentality, we're just slinking further and further away from God, from our birthright, from who we are and why we're here. So to flip that is just to acknowledge it and say, I am the pinnacle of God's creation. I am no better or no worse than anything else, but I am a part of it, and I'm worthy. I am whole. I am complete. And the more that we step into that, it just makes everything else flow, and we begin to move down this goodly godly path. But as we've stated, it's a time to choose. There's only two directions. There have only always been two directions, but we fooled ourselves into thinking there has been something else. But now it's very clear. There's only two directions. So it's either further into this, getting smaller, getting further away, getting more victimized and whatever else, or stepping back into who we are and what we're here to do. But it's a choice.
And the left brain wants to wash God away because it's embarrassed by how far it's fallen, and because it doesn't want anyone to see the truth, and God can see the truth. It has to wipe him out. So it's been trying to wipe out God in our existence for a very long time, and then just behind the scenes it gets to wear whatever mask it wants and pretend it's whatever it wants to be in that moment. And
That's a vampire, right?
that's what, exactly.
Yeah.
And it can't see itself in the mirror
Exactly.
no.
at all.
Well, and that's why those of us who speak the truth are so attacked by those who are so in their left brain, because the very essence of truth being brought before them is such a threat to their existence, that is so tied to that left brain, so tied to that ego, that they don't realize what they do. They know not what they do, but they have to attack it, or their ego, compels them to attack it, because it is the threat to its very existence.
Because it is Cain, an able man literally signifies what Cain is not, and why God favors one over the other, and why one is godless and one has God. And it's perfect that you brought up blame, because what is blame really? It's just a lack of responsibility. It's a responsibility.
It's to be lame.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's right there. And it means that you're implying that someone has control over you. Like when you say, like you were saying with the victim mindset, it just means, someone else determines how I'm going to feel, when you're the only one that's responsible. And this is the thing about truth and about surrendering to truth is like, as Charlie was talking about the window earlier, to become Christed is to see clarity and to see clear, and to clear out the clutter, and not to hold on to the clutter, because once you do hold on to the clutter, that's the blaming. So,
and you clear out cobwebs. Who creates cobwebs? And this ties into what Colleen said on our last show, which is, oh, what a wicked web we weave when we opt to deceive. And so that's what the significance of going within and going on the hero's journey, which is slaying the dragon, rescuing the princess, and she leads you to the uppermost room of the castle, where there's alchemical marriage, and then you realize you're the prince. And of all of this, this is clearing out the cobwebs of the spiders. And again, what do all spiders do? They observe in safely, tucked away in a corner in their web, and they're watching and they learn. So again, Tears for Fears in their brilliant song. I'm going to be doing a video of it shortly. The working hour. We are paid by those who learn from our mistakes. There is no such thing as a need for money or an economy. Economics is complete bullshit. All of it is a reason to get us out of the house and to destroy the family. And while we're at work, we are paid by those who learn from our mistakes. This is vivisection. This is laboratory science 101. And we're the lab rats, if you haven't figured that out yet. They're the rats, and they've turned us into laboratory rats. And it's something that Justin brought up. He was talking about the necessity to take responsibility. See, the great, wonderful thing with -48 is that he's introducing everyone to gematria, and it's so important. Now, what Colleen and I have been doing is holistically showing you symbology and numerology, and symbology, therefore, is etymology. And etymology is even more important than the gematria, because it's going to the root of these words, which shows their connection to God and their true meaning. And now you see that they've been lying to us about all of the current definitions of these words. So we're no longer casting white spells, we're now casting black magic spells, because we don't use these words in the right way, because we're using them for the wrong reasons. They're upside down, which is what they do.
And just real quick, hence why Jesus says, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. And because they don't know their roots, because they don't know the mother, so they're not grounded at all.
They can be deceived because they don't know who they are.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And the roots is etymology. It's learning the true history. That's why I always tell you, your alphabet, your words teach you real history. You can decode it yourself from there. All the words are teaching you, because all the words that exist are all the things that have happened, because they've been necessary to explain what has happened. And what do we find with virtually all words? They're beautiful. So when they attempt to paint this picture that we live in hell and it's always been this way, they're lying to you. It's just mostly ever been brilliant and beautiful. We've just fallen. We've got to get off our knees, and we have to rise from electricity left brain to magnetism in the right brain. And then you rise and rise again, lambs, until you become lions. So Justin was saying, you have to take responsibility. So true. Look at the word responsibility. It's really what the word is responsor. You see, and nobody likes to take the time to observe your words, which are telling you the complete truth. So re is life. It is to be born again, is to do again. So re is life, okay? And so responsibility or responsor, response. Sponse is the root of sponsor. So you sponsor children. That's take ownership of somebody else. That, and what is the somebody else? O-R, gold. What is true gold? Our children. Our children are true gold. So when you sponsor someone, you're taking responsibility, you're taking ownership of by giving help and aid and service to somebody else. And importantly, those that are golden creations, which are our children. So when you take responsibility, you're taking ownership. That's the way Justin described it to you. It's exactly right. And you know that that's right because that's the etymology of the word. So that's why in our language, we have so many words that are DE words, which is insanity because DE is to take away. So the word that we use constantly to try to describe the joy in our life is we use the word delight. That was delightful. And what is D
I
to
know,
take
right?
away?
As soon as I heard, about the DE, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're always using this word and in a very wrong way. To delight someone's to take their light away. That's exactly the opposite of what we intend that word to mean.
And when you look at the word dead, don't kid yourself, it's the same thing. DEAD. DEAD. What does AD stand for? Anno Domini. What is Anno? Anno is the Anunnaki. So these are, 6-ton,
Okay,
18-foot
no,
aliens.
no,
And
it's
no, they're not. No, it's not. Anu is God, is the passage of the Father annually, 1 year at a time. One is God. So annual. So this is where the Anu comes from.
Analema, the sun's path. It's an eighth. It's an eternal.
So you're taking away the
Domini. Domini is dome. And the dome is the firmament, the firm mind created by God, which houses you, what you're supposed to do, which is the 13th cranial nerve in the very center of you. And what's right behind and above your optic thalamus, your third ventricle, the mercy seat of God. So DEAD, Anno Domini, Anno Domini is God, is powerfully. That's why Sunday is Domingo, because it's all about the dome of the Father. Everything is a dome. See, everybody knows this and knew this except current human.
Now take the word death as well as just dead. Death, DEATH, taking away the what? DE taking away.
So
ATH.
DA taking away the ATH. So the TH is theology, theo, which is always the study of God. And what is A? One, which is the Father. So death is to take God away, from you. So they're coercing you and tricking you into dying, and everybody just thinks this is perfectly natural and normal. Why does Jesus get angry at Matthew when he says, hey, I'll catch up to you guys, but my father died and I gotta depart for a little while because I gotta go and bury him. And Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. God is the God of the living, not of the dead. You're coming with us. You're moving forward. You're not going backwards. God is the God of the living. So DEAD, Anno Domini, is the annually reproducing forever God, Father, and DE is to take away. There you go. Number one word in this sick last 110 years of Albert Einstein. Number one word, dead and death. Death eaters, to take away. And we delight in death, don't we?
Mhm.
Death has
So
become just a
delight
delightful thing.
becomes that word that you do use with death. But really what we should be using is relight. I'm relighted.
Which is relit the lamp, relit. There's lots of uses of relit, but there's no
Yes, we're making a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
relight. Everything is about Jesus Christ as the child, the one who came first and showed us the way. Jesus Christ came first. Krishna is Christ. Buddha is Christ. Zarathustra is Christ. They're all Christ. Christianity is the one and only one monotheistic religion because it's the night sky.
So let's talk a little bit about the calendars and the time and how
Oh, yeah.
and how the night sky has taught us so much, and yet the cabal has hidden it from us in
Eluded
so
us.
many ways. And using the calendars and the time
Of death.
So even in the weeks of the month and the months, we have encoded God's truth, but at the same time, it also is a spell.
Which
So-
has made us weak. So hence we have 52 weeks, 52, which is 7, and it's the wrong 7. It's the upside down 7.
So moving forward, how do we restructure things so that we are more empowered by the truth of what's out there versus what we've been, lied to about, and how we've got to change the whole system that encompasses our very existence in
We-
our.
We have to have the truth. We can't go forward with lies, and the days of the week, we have to tell the truth about the days of the week. We have to and so the same thing happens with the moons, and the same thing with the year and the great year. All of this we have to start telling the truth. Everything has to now become the truth. So I was smiling because Colleen asked me this question today. And so what I said to Colleen was this: if moving forward, if somebody from the White Hats approached Colleen and I and said, we'd like your input on certain things, or what do you recommend, or we'd be interested. If they asked the first, I said to Colleen, first thing that I would say is that we absolutely have to restructure how we look at this concept of time and the expression of anything to do with time. So then therefore the calendar. And so the first thing that we have to do is you have to realize is that a day is a solar day, is the sun, and a year is a solar year, is the sun. So a day or a year is of the Father, and a week or a month is a moon, because it's the moon. So it's all about the sun and the moon. It's all about the father and the mother. It's all about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so we have to have the calendar in every single way reflect this. So the first thing, so what I was saying to Colleen, wouldn't it be amazing? So Colleen said, this is great. So we're going to get a 13th moon, or we're going to get a 13th month. What should we call the 13th month? And I said, it's so obvious. Christos. Christos is the 13th month. Why don't we don't have a day named after Jesus? We don't have a day, well, we do have a day named after God, but people don't know what dominion or dome it relates to. So Domingo, so they don't know.
And we call it Sunday in the English language. We don't call it Domingo.
That's right. And then we conveniently spell it S-U-N instead of S-O-N, whatever. But so the sacred truth of all of this is that what we need to do is start encoding so that we never ever forget God, Mother Mary, and Jesus back into everything that we do. So the first thing is we gain a proper. We're going to do the calendar properly. So that means that just like there are 13 cycles of the moon within one solar year, that's the mother doing her dance with the father. Just like every woman has 13 menstrual cycles in every single solar year, just like The woman of the earth is doing her dance with the father, the cleansing, the purity, the purification process once every month as well. We are going to realign everything. So the first thing we're going to do is create a proper count. So if you're struggling with any of this, just know that they tricked you with month by taking the second O away. Month is moon. And they didn't think you'd notice the removal of the second O. And if you don't believe me, what's a Monday? Lunas. Lunas is moon. Monday is moon day. Sunday is Sunday, which is a sun and a sun. And Monday is the moon day. So 13 moons. Every month is 28 days. Now, logically, and the ancients talked about this as well, but logically, what would the first day of every single moon now become? Well, we're all born of the mother here on the physical plane. So to be born of the mother is 22. What's the mass star number of the sacred feminine? 22. 11, 22, 33 are the three mass star numbers. The 22 is the letter V, is the 22nd letter of the alphabet, which is the Virgin, and then the mother, magnetism, Mary, Virgin Mother Mary, which is through the vagina, which is the portal, the physical portal to lead you to the metaphysical portal, which is the pineal. So the first day of every single month will be the 22nd. And then every single month is 28 days. Guess what? If you count 28 days from the 22nd, with 28 being the last day of the month, where does it take you to? Every single month ends at the 21st. The last day of every single month is the 21st. That's the last day. Why? Because that's the goal. That's
So
the end.
first becomes the 22nd.
So the first day of every month will become the 22nd because you have to be born again. Jesus says even the Son of Man had to come first from heaven and fall to be born again to resurrect back to the Father at the right-hand side, even the Son of Man. So this is the reborning. This is to be born again. This is the true born again. This born again Christians is what this literally means. To be born again is every single month we're reborn again. And guess what? Every single month is aligned with one of the sun signs, because that's father and mother again.
Oh, I have a suggestion. So you know how Mary has a little lamp? Why can't we start with Aries? Why can't we start with Aries?
So that's brilliant because we were talking about this today. So the first month of every single year will always be March. And Colleen said, yeah, why do we call it March? Because, well, that's a military thing to do.
March 4th.
But in Spanish, it's Marzo, so it's Mars. But continue.
So what Colleen said is that what we should be calling March is Aries, because that's an anagram for arise, and that's what it is. This is the Passover, and this is where death passes you over every arising. So think about, just bear with me and think about this absolute brilliance and genius of this natural calendar. And guarantee you it is 13 moons. The first month is Aries, and the last month is Jesus Christ.
It's Christos.
It's Christos.
Wow.
The last month is Christos. What's the first day of every month? Well, you have to be born of the mother. The master number of the mother is the V for vagina, is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. 22 is the master number of the sacred feminine. 22 is the first day of the year. And if you go 28 past 22, with 28 being, of course, the end of the month, it takes you always to 21. What's 21?
12 backwards.
Cha-ching! I hit the jackpot. 7, 7, 7. Cherry, cherry, cherry. Treasure chest, treasure chest, treasure chest. See, the casinos are telling you in plain sight.
Wow.
You hit the jackpot with 777 because 3 sevens is 21. What's 21? 21 is the dark to light of 12, is this completion of and 12 is God's completion, and then dark to light 21 is the family, because 2, father, mother, create the 1, and 21, 2 plus 1 equals 3. And it's all about the three in this
All about
duality.
the family.
It's all about the family in this duality. This is the significance of 21. So now, what must be, think about how seamlessly perfect this is. What would be the last day of every single year before Passover, which would be the first day of Aries of the new year? What would be the last day? It would be the 21st of Christos. And the 21st of Christos, which is the end of the year, to be reborn of the mother again.
13th moon.
And again, look at the time sky clock that we've been teaching you. At 1 o'clock is Leo, which is the lion of the father. So this is, the Sphinx. And then at the front of the Sphinx is 2 o'clock, which is the Virgin Mary Mother, which is Virgo at 2 o'clock, to be born a free man, Libra. So every year, symbolically and literally, you're being born again in purity and in righteousness and freedom, because life isn't worth living, William Wallace, unless you have freedom, real freedom. See the perfection of this? The 13th month would become the Christos. The last day of every year would become the 21st of the Christos month, and then we're reborn. And this is this born again Christians. Couldn't get, and Jesus is going, you are an elder of the church, and you can't figure out this simple allegory in the physical. How are you supposed to understand if I were to teach you?
So where would the 13th, 31st come in? Just right after Pisces and before Aries? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's
So it'd be
essentially,
January, February,
yeah, and this
Christos,
is, and the third, that's right. So the 13th,
then Aries.
yeah, so it would be January, February, Christos, and then Aries, March, arising.
Yeah.
And then this 13, are we back on live?
Yeah. we're back
Okay,
on.
so again, everyone, so some of you were saying, but this is at odds with the 12-month system, which works because of the 12 apostles. Well, no, it doesn't, because when you do the 12-month calendar, who have you avoided like the plague?
Christ.
The one. Who was the 13th? Who's the one? So going to the 13-month count, that's how you know Christos would be the 13th
It would be
month.
really cool if we do discover, as the new team lets all of this information come out about the Bibles and all these Vatican documents. It would be really cool to know that the ancients did call the 13th month, because you're really curious by this point,
That'd
right?
be
What
crazy.
would they have called it?
Christos,
Right?
Christos.
So, and when you go on La Belle Verte and you watch that movie, what a
That's
beautiful
right.
movie, they talk about another place called Christos.
And everybody wanted to go to Christos. Now, who wants to go to Earth? Christos, only 14 can go. Who wants to go to Earth?
So it would be really cool to discover that that's what they called it, and we just tapped into it.
It
be
would
really
make
cool.
sense, because like they don't like
Right? 13,
and they constantly want to,
That's
devalue that
right.
number. So
That's right, because remember, everyone, it's not just the mother doesn't go anywhere empty-handed. She always takes the child with her. See, 13 is not just the Mother Mary, magnetism, M, 13th letter of the 26 letters of the alphabet. is Jesus Christ, the 13th cranial nerve. That's why there's 13s everywhere. No, Charlie, there's 12s everywhere. No, there's 12 surrounding the one. Don't you want to be the chosen one? See, you'll never become Harry Potter ever until you accept Jesus Christ as your savior, because he was the one. He's the one, and you must become the one. You must put yourself at the center of the story, because you're the creme de la creme. You're the apple of God's eye. You're the highest of highs, the holiest of holies. You're the pinnacle of God's creation. So you want it now. This is the cherry on top, is when I finish this. Now think, 13 moons of 28 days. Charlie, you effed up, because that's only 364. And everybody knows there is a day and a quarter left over. Well, that symbolizes the size of the pineal gland to the rest of the brain. That symbolizes the king's chamber to the rest of the size of the Great Pyramid at Giza. This is the squaring of the circle, which is the 13 and 12. Trying to fit 13 into 12, you can't. There's always some left over. What's left over when you attempt to get 13 and 12 is the pineal gland. And that's the same distance that they tell us with this fake distances and size of the moon and the sun out there. The exact ratio of the size of the moon and the distance of the moon from the sun, and the size of the sun and the distance of the sun from the earth, is exactly the squaring of the circle, is exactly trying to fit 13 into 12. There's always a little bit left over. Guess what that little bit left over is? 1 1/4. And guess what we do on that day? There is no name for it. There is no time considered. It is a day of stillness and silence to God. It's God's day. And we don't speak his name, because we don't speak on that day. Now, you talk about perfection. You talk about perfection. We create a calendar that embraces the Virgin Mother Mary, who is pure righteousness, who is the Bushido, the samurai, the shogun, the 7 heavenly virtuous virtues. And so we celebrate the mother by raising the child Christ to the pinnacle of everything, the pine cone of the pine tree at the end of this annual story. And then we celebrate all of that through the Creator on the 365th and a quarter day, which is in deference and tribute to God. And that's exactly what this calendar should look like. And weeks become strongs. We're not weak, we're strong. When you get away from this fragmented calendar that makes you divided, scattered, and weak, it makes you strong. And then we have 52 strongs. So how does the calendar look? The first month of every single year used to be March, will be Aries, which is a man arising. And then it works all the way through April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, Christos, to the day of God, and what do we do on that day of God? Why? See, and here's the final piece of the puzzle that makes this just so perfect. Because what's the first day of the year, which would be the 22nd of March, or Aries? That's Passover. That's Passover. And how do you prepare to have death pass you over? You have a day and a quarter only to God. What does Jesus say in the Bible? Let the dead bury the dead. God is the God of the living. You come with us. You have the day in preparation for this miracle on the 22nd, the first day of every year, the 22nd of Aries, the first day of every year, the miracle of Passover, and death passes you over and you continue to live. And this is how it works. This is how it works. And this is how you live forever. But here's the trick. You have to continue to do the work. You stop doing the work, death will surely find you. This is why, like in Sherlock, in the BBC Sherlock episode, they brought up the age-old story of the merchant of Samara, and so he was this merchant was in was he in Baghdad during the morning, and he saw death, and he saw the Grim Reaper, and he was so terrified that he saw the Grim Reaper that he fled from Baghdad, the market of Baghdad, to Samara to avoid death. And when he arrived in Samara in the night, who did he find? Death. And he said to the Grim Reaper, he said, I surrender myself willingly to you, but I only ask one question. If you came to receive me here tonight in Samara, what were you doing in the market in Baghdad during the day? And the Grim Reaper said, I wasn't there for you. And so what's the allegory of the story? You despair. And when you despair, you die. Despair is spare
So
is
you
life.
spent all that time worrying and running when really it wasn't even for you.
And you
that's
ran
taking-
headlong into death.
That's taking thought for your life and you got it wrong.
Exactly. And you ran precisely to death in Samara instead of life in Baghdad.
Yeah, and then was it for the Passover in the Bible? Don't the Israelites put ram's blood on the door?
Yeah.
And I think it had to be like a young lamb or something, because it's purity.
It had to be a pure lamb. So the symbology, of course, is that is the blood of Jesus Christ. And so this is why the Hebrew religion disavows this, because they don't accept Jesus Christ, which is the point of all of this, which the night sky teaches us, is the point of everything is to become Christ-like. So they disavow Christ because they have to. That's why the Hebrew religion is right to left and everything is backwards, because they disavow Christ. They have to, or else we win.
Yeah.
We're one
Now the Q
in the
team,
now.
the Q team keeps, or the Q posts and such, and a lot of the Anons keep saying that this is biblical. And what's happening right now, this plan is biblical. And this is about, as -48 said the other day, this is about the second coming. This is about,
God-man, JFK.
yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's what, if you guys could tap into the conversations that Colleen and I have been having, in particular for the last 3 weeks, sort of since -48 came out. And Colleen just said some incredibly beautiful things today about both of us and myself as well. Is greatly appreciated. And what Colleen is saying is that everything that we're basically now hearing, these reveals that are coming out, is like an answer to our prayers when we were kids. And as I've shared with everyone, I cannot tell you why. I just can tell you that from the youngest age, I have been connected to John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, and then very powerfully to John F. Kennedy Jr. And when Jr. Plain passed away, I did not have the strength within me to trust in the plan and to trust that this was far too great a tragedy to happen, because that's what everyone was saying. How could God allow this to happen? It's too much. All of this is just too much for the Kennedys. And I was like, yes, but it's too much for us, because they were the light of the world. They are the light of the world, and they are being extinguished. And that's why I always knew that he was murdered, and that I was very despondent by this for that reason. And so what Colleen has been noticing and saying is that every day, as more and more of these comms are released, it's like an answer to our childhood prayers, and it's coming through the devices that we felt were righteous.
And they say you will be shocked when you find out, when you discover who you've been talking to.
Mhm. And it's not just that you'll be shocked that it's JFK Jr. It's far bigger than that. Remember what I said? There, no stone will be left unturned. At the end of this, you will absolutely know that God is real, that God is the creator, and that God is fully in charge. And that all we've ever needed to do is cast our nets to the right. And everyone will know this, including those that chose poorly.
The Muggles. Magic, we want magic. Yeah, okay, but is this still going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's interesting how, when I said the lamb's blood thing, you always talk about counting sheep. So it's like the pure thought, because if you have impure thought constantly,
right.
you're acidic. And then your blood, even your blood turns acidic, and blood contains the soul, which is Jesus. So yeah, your soul can't be acidic. And then back to the
Yes, and just to quickly
Yes, yes.
interject there, Eugene, is that remember, death is a blood cult. And so if you're going not to have Passover and the Grim Reaper is going to reap you every single year, then that is a death cult
Yes.
ritual.
Yes.
You're participating in a death cult ritual because you are a death eater. And that's because death is a blood ritual. So the lamb, the blood of the perfect lamb, Jesus Christ, upon the brow of the door. See, that's your brow, which is symbolizing, by the way, the sphenoid bone in your head, which is level earth within you. That's where you place the blood upon you. And that's why when you see these righteous people paint their faces, they're always painting the red color upon above the brow, because that is signifying to the reaper that you don't come knocking here, because I knocked and it was answered. I asked and I received. The miracles of God because I did the work and I had the courage to ask and I was received. That's exactly how this works. So think about that, folks, when Eugene is explaining that, is that when death comes to your door, you invited it because you are bloody instead of wearing the virgin blood of the perfect lamb, Jesus Christ, upon your brow, and you're bloodless. This is why the Catholic Church makes such a big deal about the holy sacrament of taking the wafer and the wine of Jesus.
It's called.
It is a death cult. It's a death cult ritual. That's
They want to
absolutely
normalize
ridiculous.
adrenochrome and
Yes.
eating humans.
Yes.
They want to normalize it. So I'm sorry to say, people, we love you so much. Love you so much. And I was even Catholic for a little while, I'm sorry to say, but
Don't be sorry.
but I wasn't raised that way, but
Yeah.
I became it. But I wanted to say that the practices that they had within that are very much Luciferian.
Yes.
And I know that our intentions weren't that, but that's exactly where they were leading us down that road. And we need to, when we know better, we do better. So we no longer partake of that.
And again, think about this. Who murdered and ate Abel? Cain. So you see, who hijacks the purity of bloodless Jesus, and turns Jesus into just nothing but blood. And you go into a Catholic church and there is a bloody Jesus. And then they give you a bloody wafer with a bloody glass of wine. And it's just bloody, 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 bloody everywhere you go. Canaanites. The Catholic Church are Canaanites. And what have we found out that they do to our children? It isn't just that they're raping. The priests are doing that because they're denying them the sacredity of our sacred sexual union between the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. They're denying them that. And then the only people they have to turn to are nuns, which is why nuns had holes everywhere
In their garments.
Because they were being pluked all the time by these fallen priests who were denied sexual. And then where else? Why do you think the Catholic Church only has altar boys and not altar girls? You know the answer to this. Now, let me show you something even more disturbing. Why is it that we have this rich tradition through churches of the boys' choir, the Vienna boys' choir? Why? They didn't allow women in. Why? Because they wanted the masculine. But who are the only masculines that can sound like a woman? Soprano boys. So when you saw that TV series, The Sopranos, that's the code. That's the code. Every time you hear Sopranos, they're talking about little boys, pizza, cheese pizza, or whatever all these sick codes are. Sopranos in the Vienna boys choir. because it puts boys in the churches in front of the priests. And then these monsters knew what their priests would do. And when they were selecting priests, it's the same thing as when they're hiring police officers, which is why we're having all the problem in the world right now with all of our policy enforcers of the Maritime Admiralty law system, because they are carefully selected as morally flexible individuals. And that's who the Catholic Church has always chosen to become priests, morally flexible people. And then you take women out of it and you create the boys' choir and you create altar boys, and the priests have no option when the nuns fight back and the nuns slap back at the priest for attempting to rape them. Then they have no other alternative but to rape children. The Catholic Church has done all of this knowingly. Don't kid yourselves. All of this is knowingly done. Why? Because that's the worst of the worst of the worst. And as Tesla said, everything is energy, frequencies. What is the frequency of a priest who's supposed to be teaching the sacred truth of Jesus Christ, raping a child, and a male priest raping a male child? This is the abomination of abominations. This is the desolation of abomination. What does the book of Revelation say? This is the reveal of the abomination of the desolation. Why did Tolkien call the area where smog had destroyed the Lonely Mountain? Why did he call it the desolation of smog? Because it is the dragon, which is the ego of your left brain, breaking into the Lonely Mountain, which is the one peak, which would be the third ventricle of the brain. And then what did it hold and want more than anything? The Arkenstone. What is the Ark? The Ark is
The Ark of the
third
Covenant.
ventricle, the Ark of the Covenant, third ventricle of your brain, pineal gland.
And what
Pineal
did you
gland.
need to be the king?
That's right. The king of the Lonely Mountain.
You needed to have the,
Arkenstone. You had to have the born right, the Arkenstone. What is the Arkenstone? Pineal gland. Pineal gland is the Arkenstone.
The Philosopher's Stone.
The
Yeah.
Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter.
it's what all these stories are talking about.
And that has the power to bring life, death back yeah, to life. So it's
1, 2, 3, easy as do, re, mi. I'm talking about ABC. 1, 2, 3, do,
Michael
re, mi,
Jackson,
baby, you
sing
and
it.
me.
sounds like honey. Sounds like preservation, regeneration.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it's all connected, and it's amazing how this is the time, people. This is the time. This is happening now before our eyes.
Because everything is God. And
everything is gone.
we have to go back to a godly system. We have to go back to enshrining God, the Sacred Mother, and Jesus Christ into everything we do. So from now on, what is the first day of every single week? We got to get these right. The first day of every single week where the week begins is the Sunday, because that is the solar plexus. That is the infusion of life again. And we're born again in the solar plexus every single day when the sun rises. And then that's the first day of the week. And then what comes after the sun, which is a representation of the Father, the Mother, which is
moon.
Moon Day, which is Monday. And then it is Tuesday. So
Mars.
that's right. Just look at is in French it's Mardi, or in Mexico here, Latin, it is
Martez.
Martes, Mars. And then it
Miraculous.
is
It's a
Mercury.
miracle, the middle way, Hermes,
Yeah.
the Hermetic truth.
So the
Mercury.
first day of the week, instead of Monday, will be Sunday. And Saturday, the Sabbath, will be celebrated as the day of rest.
As
day
the
of
holy
God.
day, as the true
As-
holy day.
On the seventh
the
day,
f-
he
as-
rested.
And so shall we.
Yes.
And that's another way of championing God and enshrining God into everything that we do. And so this bullshit about kids playing all of these organized sports. And Colleen, I was giving Colleen a massage today, and she was playing an interview with an American gymnast, and
Oh,
she was in
bless her
tears
heart.
talking about how she was systematically abused and raped by the American
Olympic
program
Doctor.
and this doctor, and now he's been taken to task. But basically what she said is that the system has protected him. The FBI did everything to protect him. Yes, because the FBI, because the system is the cabal, and the cabal is there to protect rapists and pedophiles. The system is there to protect them. It's there to expose you as bait so that these minions will take the bait and fall, and then they own them. And then they own them.
So they all will come tumbling down.
Absolutely. So we got to get our days correct. We have to get weeks in order so they become strongs. We become strong when you tell the truth. There is strength in truth. Another dark saying of old, there's strength in truth. That's the turning of the phrase weeks into strengths.
And
So
there's
we
strength in numbers too, remember that.
that's right. And that is a tribute to gematria. There's strength in numbers. That's gematria. That should be the theme of gematria, is there's strength in numbers. So it's encoding everything. So the seventh day, which is the completion of the scale, which is what Justin was talking earlier about, unity consciousness. Everything should be about unification. Well, that's what the Saturday Sabbath day is. It stands over the 6 previous days of carnal chaos of, going out to plant your crops and tend to your crops and harvest your crops and gather seeds and plant your seeds and whatever else. And then it's to get things serious. You have to get serious. And again,
And reflect.
Sirius leads to what? Sirius in the sky points to the 3 kings. The 3 kings point to the Southern Cross, and the Southern Cross marks the miracle of miracles in the night sky. No one can deny this. This is the truth. What did God do? On December 22nd, on December 23rd, and on December 24th, perceptibly, the sun does not move. It rises in the same place for 3 days in a row. And where is that place? We've stayed up and watched it. And that is the rising on the bottom star of the Southern Cross constellation, which we see perfectly here. We're going to show Justin and Eugene this miracle in the night sky, which is just coming into view now.
Please.
And you're going to see this, and you'll see how they are all in perfect alignment. You will see how Orion's belt is in perfect alignment to Sirius, and then it points directly to the Southern Cross, and that's where the sun rises exactly on the tip of the Southern Cross for 3 days in a row. So this is, and he was dead in the tomb for 3 days and 3 nights before the miracle. What is the first day that the sun begins to move again in the sky? So this is SON. The SON, when is the sun begin to move again? On December 25th. This is why the symbolic allegorical birthday of Jesus Christ will always be Christ Mass Day, December 25th, because that's the night sky. That's what the night sky teaches. That's the one story. And everything is in perfect alignment. Why? Because Nikola Tesla said, everything is energy, therefore frequencies. Everything is a frequency, and you have to be in perfect alignment to receive God, to receive Christ within you. Can't spill your seed. You can't be a shallow breather. You're a Death Eater, and you can't be a Death Eater. You have to be a frugivore. You're a frugivore. Why are you fighting this? Your mouth salivates at watermelon. Your mouth salivates at a honeydew melon. Your mouth salivates at a cantaloupe. You've just been
Or an
taught
avocado.
at an
Oh my
avocado.
God.
Yeah, exactly. And why don't we interject? Tell, talk about kind men, Justin and Eugene, and all the wonderful things that they continue to do to help us in our chaotic schedule.
Well, they've been purchasing a lot of avocados lately.
Yeah,
And then Eugene has this brilliant plan to dehydrate certain things. And so he got a dehydrator.
Yes.
And what a gift that was, right?
Yes,
Because
definitely.
the other day he's on a cleanse. I have to tell you that Justin and Eugene are both on a cleanse right now. They're one's doing watermelon. They were
Yay.
initially just doing grapes. And bless their hearts, they're doing really well. Yeah, so I'm very proud of them. But Eugene is his way of coping is to think about healthy ways to eat, which is wonderful. And he's been thinking a lot about how to dehydrate. So, eating raw, but dehydrated. So
So it's just preserved,
It's
right? It just is a
preserved, yeah.
preservation. So
just taking away the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he made some dehydrated avocados, which I'd heard taste like French fries.
which
Might be
Colleen,
my weakness.
which is Colleen's weakness. Yeah.
So he made them, and I have a bit of a cold, understatement, but everybody's been getting it around here. I'm glad these three haven't. And the possums put me under. So, but anyway, I can't really taste right now, but he made these amazing dehydrated avocados. Eugene, you want to talk about it?
Oh yeah, avocados. Yeah,
Avocados.
it was really testing because like I wanted it so bad, but it's not for me. But yeah, it was kind of my goal to get Charlie to finally eat French fries with Colleen without having to eat French fries, and that's like the whole great avenue about dehydration. It's like you can eat all the foods you used to eat, just better with living stuff, and replace it with living stuff. So yeah.
Right. So, I mean, your vegetables, like you can dehydrate. It's kind of
So
new to
many
me. I mean,
things.
fruits, obviously,
Yes.
people are used to dehydrated fruits and dehydrated.
Yeah, and that's why there's a great tradition always where people who eat dehydrated fruits often have them with honey. It's a natural combination is to take. So I'll guarantee you that these avocado fries will be perfect with honey because it's preservation. So you
Yes.
put them into the preservation room to
Yes.
be preserved. And so all you're doing it to mix things up a little bit is that what you're doing is you're putting honey, which is the pineal gland, into the avocado, and you're just taking a little of the pituitary gland, the milk of the mother away, so that there's just a balance. And so it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It shouldn't all be one way, and for either. So it's really beautiful, and they're delicious.
So we've been discovering, new and interesting ways to eat healthy and to eat raw. So yeah, Eugene will be probably making some sort of a book soon.
Yeah,
on
the
recipes.
back of this actually is just like all recipes. Like I'm
So-
tormenting myself during this fast, learning all the best foods I can make.
Yeah, and then he just gives them freely to everybody else.
But anyway, yeah.
But yeah, going back to sort of the calendar and shifting back to how we're intended, that's one of the things that prompted this recent cleanse, was preparing for this shifting of the seasons, or coming into the fall of man. So that was the reason that prompted me. I like to spend every equinox and solstice, at least since discovering this truth, to have that additional cleansing, to truly receive those transitional energies and step into them with a better sense of clarity. And when we can align to this true calendar even more so, we can look at all these different transitional moments and truly kind of reevaluate how we operate and do different things. Now, and we've said before, like, it's because people ask, like, what are the 3 days where your chrism oil has the potential to rise and things of that nature, and what should I do on those particular days? Well, you shouldn't really shift your entire schedule to accommodate and say, okay, I can give in to my carnal desires for the rest of the month, and then for those 3 days I'm going to be really good. No, it doesn't work that way. But if you want to accelerate, if you want to have some extra motivation to do even more on those days, I think it's important to look at. So that's what I like to do for every shift of the seasons. But if anyone wants to join for reevaluating my strong, I would like, and when I say strong, I mean weak, but we're shifting towards the new terminology of strong. So every Sabbath, I would like to fast. So I'm going to incorporate that as a weekly practice where, I'm taking no food or drink for that day, so that I can sink into that stillness and have that seventh day that truly is that reflection point, and that where I can stop with the busyness of, oh, what am I going to eat and what do I need to prepare and how do I need to get this, but just to have that break and where I can truly just breathe and do that. So if anyone wants to join me for that, you're more than welcome to, at whatever level you feel comfortable with, whether that's on every Saturday you say, I'm just going to eat fruit, I'm not going to eat anything else but the true food that is intended for us, or if you want to do a water fast or a dry fast, I will be doing a dry fast. But yeah, I think it's just a great way to celebrate, clear and celebrate these
Strongly.
yeah, exactly, these transitions that we go through on a regular basis. And the more that we become in line with this system as a whole, then we get to operate within it from the space of maximum potential,
Definitely.
from our high space. Yeah.
And wear your crown, because Saturday, right, is all about the crown. It's the seventh, and hence like Libra too. But Sat, that's why Shanyamurti had Sat Yoga. Yoga is actually an anagram, if vowels are interchangeable, is for Yuga. So Sat Yuga. So it's the truth age, it's the golden age.
Wow.
And why? Because Sat is truth. And that's why there's that term Sat Chit Ananda, truth, consciousness and bliss, I believe. Yeah.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
it's truth. So what better way to celebrate truth than in absolute silence? And that word too, absolute.
Doesn't that change the whole saying when that guy just sat there? Yes, he did, in truth.
Yeah.
Literally.
Wow.
Absolutely. And again, here's sort of the pièce de résistance for all of this with the calendar and stuff. Think about it. We were just saying, what would be more perfect than every single year ending upon the 21st day of the sun month, the Christos month. Well, 22 is where every month begins, because you have to be born of the mother. And again, the letter V for the Virgin Mary Mother and the portal of the vagina is the 22nd letter of the alphabet, 22. And that is the mass star number for the sacred feminine, 11, 22, 33, 11, the father, 22, the mother, and 33, the child, 33 vertebrae, the journey of man, 3 and 3 is 6. And so every moon starts on the 22nd day. Well, what's the 21st letter of the alphabet? So think about the symbology of this, where every day ends with the miracle of the 21st, right? Which is the Father, Mother creating life through the child, Jesus Christ, Christ being the child, 21st, 21, 777. Think of that's the letter U. What does the letter U stand for? Eucatastrophe. What is the eucatastrophe? Professor Tolkien coined this. It's what the Lord of the Rings is all about, fighting the great defeat forever in complete abandonment to the fact that you're probably going to lose, but you keep on fighting because you never despair. Tolkien described that ultimately, really, the only sin that we can really ever commit is despair, because he said, when you despair, he said, you're saying that for sure what's coming tomorrow, and only God can know what's coming tomorrow. So you're a Satanist, you're satanic when you default. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just really
That
weak.
literally changed my life when I heard that Tolkien had said that the only sin is to despair,
because you're denying God.
and I was good at despairing, being a feeler, and just the energies that are out there and everything, but it literally made me think that number one, I don't want to do the one thing that the only thing I can do is sinning by despairing. That's the last thing I want to do. And who am I to say that I know what's going to happen?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I don't.
Yeah.
I've been wrong time and time and time again, especially on dates with the Q team. But the 24th of September, I'm going to try it one more time.
But isn't you also a word for a female sheep or female?
Absolutely.
So it's the mother again, because who
EWE.
raises you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's through the gift of the mother and the self-sacrifice of the mother, the you, 21. And again, 2 + 1 is 3. And it's all about family. It's all about the Trinity. That's what this story is all about. ABC.
1,
don't
2,
read
3.
1, 2, 3.
Sing
Yeah,
it,
talking
Michael.
about you and me. So again, just think of the magnificence of this, where we're born of the V and we are resurrected of the U. And so Tolkien said that the greatest example of the U catastrophe is the resurrection of Christ. That's what he said. That's in Tolkien's letters. That's what he said, that the greatest example of U catastrophe is in the resurrection of Christ. So what is the ultimate day of the year before we start the year over? The very last day of the year, is as well it should be. And then that's the last day we count, is the 364th day of the year. Now add those up. See, if it's the truth, it's holistic, and it's true in every single aspect. So add up 3, 6, and 4. Come on, anyone want to do it? 3, 6, and 4?
13.
13. Who's 13? The one surrounded by 12.
Christos.
Jesus Christ, Christos.
So
You
on
see?
the Christos month, the moon, Christos, it would be the last day of
The
the
very
year.
last day of the year that we calculate is Christos 21, is the last day of every single year. Then on the 365th and a quarter day, there is no calculation of time. There is no talking. For
So
God's
literally
sake,
time
shut
stands
the
still.
fuck up one day a year. For at least one day of the year, just shut the fuck up. We get almost everything wrong all the time. So for one day, get it right by saying nothing
Yes.
for the entire day. No speaking for an entire day. No speaking, no eating, no nothing, just meditation. It's a day of service to God. You have to pay him back. And what are you paying back? 1 1/4 out of 365. Guess what?
That's-
Proportionately, that's the pineal gland.
And speaking of, I'm sorry, I did the numbers again. I'm supposed to shut up, but
No.
the quarter is 6 hours, right? Because it's what do you call it? Because 12 is a half.
Yeah.
So then the 24 hours added to 6 hours would be 30, which is 3, which is the sun. So how perfect is that? Like I just did that. I was like,
See?
what the?
See, if
And
it's
that's
the
a bargain,
truth,
right?
and that's a bargain, to give up one day a year in observance to the Father and to enshrine God into every single day, right? So Sunday, every single day, every single strong, every single moon, every single anno with that one day to God.
Sure.
Surely we are enshrining God into the very fabric, right? And what clothes should you wear? You should wear
White.
virtuous fabric. And that's entwining God into the very fabric of your nature.
I hope it's made out of hemp.
Yeah. Oh, I want a hemp house.
Yeah. And again, we were talking about today about again, just, guaranteeing that these people are good people. So again, who made the first hemp car ever?
Ford.
Henry Ford.
Huh.
Henry Ford, the man who championed Adolf Hitler, and Adolf Hitler idolized Henry Ford.
And
Adolf
so did
Hitler,
JFK.
and he Joseph Kennedy was very good friends with Henry Ford, and JFK really thought very highly of Henry Ford and Adolf Hitler. And who was Henry Ford's favorite president? Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln, Ford, Joseph Kennedy, Adolf Hitler, John Kennedy, Donald Trump. Vampire hunters, vampire slayers, the beautiful bloodline that is
It's just Indiana. No.
the beautiful bloodline that is righteous and real, because it's in real time. Guess what real time is? Now, where you go from being owned to now to one. And then once you're the one, you're Neo, which is Jesus Christ, and then you live for an eon, which is eternity. Eon is another expression of an eternity. See? The Trinity. It's all about mother, father, child. That's why every move ends on the 21st. The two create the one. And then the last day of the calculated year is Christos 21. Wow. Wow. Anybody care to do the gematria of Christos 21? It would take me a little bit of
Like
my mind to
Christos.
do, but
Just like Christ with the.
Christos and then spelling out 21. It would be very interesting to see.
Oh,
if
can you do it,
had the
Justin?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Gematria calculator.
Christos with the K, right?
Yeah, well,
Or with a C.
you can do it either. If you do Christos with a K, then it would be with Y. So if you do K, then it would be Krystos. But if you do Christos with the C and an H, by the way, the C and the H is a K, because C is 3 and H is 8. 3 and 8 is 11. You ever notice that? CH
Huh.
make up 11.
Wow.
And they sound like 11, which is K. See how everything works?
Yeah.
When it's the truth for everything, and it explains and ties everything
I think
together.
he wants you to spell out 21, right?
And spell out, yeah, then you spell out
20 and
21 as well. So TWENTY and then 1.
Christos 21 is 252.
Ah,
In simple
And
gematria.
252, 2
Nine.
plus 5 plus
Uh-huh.
2 is 9, which is divine, which is
Crazy.
God consciousness. There you go. Bingo.
Wow, and it's the same as the storm is upon us.
Oh my God.
Christ.
Christos 21, the storm.
Oh,
is
can you
upon
search
us.
up "Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming"?
Yeah.
And then the numbers that relate to it. I love when they go off on the chain. Like one of my favorite was 203. It was talking about how like you do not have to defend a lion; it will defend itself,
Yes.
assuming that the lion is the truth. Like you set the truth free, and nothing can stop what is coming.
That's right. And where is the armor of God?
Nothing can stop what is coming is 316.
Uh-huh. Oh, I guess it's not giving you. Oh.
Which is really interesting, because 316 is March 16th, which is the week of Passover. Just so you know,
Wow.
316 is the week of Passover. Nothing can stop what is coming. What is coming at the end of Passover? Eternal life at the right-hand side of the Father. So
The best is yet to come.
best is yet to come at the right-hand side of the Father.
And
True.
you feel it all ramping up, right? People, like you can feel that this is all gathering so much momentum, and
Yeah.
so many things are coming out right now. And
Colleen and I have been almost giddy. I mean, we really have, because it's a child for both of us. It's a dream come true. All of these things happening. It's a dream come true.
Yeah, I still can't believe I found a renewed family. That's pretty fantastic.
Absolutely, super
Makes
sense.
perfect sense.
Yes.
yeah, we're all very well. We've been doing the work, and so here we are.
And to be honest, my old family just didn't cut it.
And there's no shame in saying that. You're just being honest.
Yeah.
There is a family that it seems like you're birthed into, and then there's a family you come to live with, and
And-
that's the journey of man.
And nothing against those folks. It's just like I need to wait for them to like want to turn around. Because again, this is all
Well,
like this is all about sovereignty, right? It's a
Yeah.
voluntary. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say it's all perfect.
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
they were exactly what we needed
Exactly.
to get us to where we are and to show us what we need to see. And then what more beautiful of a cue than for you to be
Exactly.
the one to lead the way, to
Exactly.
step in as Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and to be the first to go through and to reach a hand back down and say, hey,
And to be the cue, right?
yeah, it's possible. Like, hey, you can come too. Like, I'm not,
Yes.
there's no
And to me,
exclusivity.
that's what the little wallop in the queue is for, is to reach down
Yeah, it
into
is.
that other world and say, come
Absolutely.
on, here we are.
Yeah.
There's a helping hand. Let's
Right.
go. Let's go into this
Yeah,
new world.
and somebody also said that what it symbolizes is the sperm of the semen
Entering an egg.
entering into the egg and fertilizing.
So it's
with-
it's the creation, it's the first moment of life.
Yeah, which is a great one as well, because once again, this ejaculation process has to be an inward ejaculation inside the egg, inner egg. And by the way, think of the significance of the egg, what as the pineal gland begins to be well, in its kind of its natural state, it is an egg shape, and then it goes from an egg shape to a diamond when you bring di, which is perfect balance, stillness and silence, perfect balance, and then you become the di-a mond. Mond is world or earth.
Singular
Yeah,
God.
Mon-
So
Mon.
yeah. So of God. So the balance of God world. And that's the diamond is the balance of God world. It's exactly it. So hopefully all of you have just loved this so much tonight. And what we're showing you is you see with the truth how it presents itself to you. And then as you're listening, you're just all going like, wow, this is mind-blowing stuff. And you know that you're hearing the truth. How? Because it aligns itself perfectly in every single aspect of itself, front to back, upside down, physical, metaphysical.
The chat says that we are your family, Eugene.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah.
They love you.
Yeah, and as
I
well
love you
they
guys.
should, as well they should. And just so, I mean, you know, and Justin does so much as well, but Eugene has gone here at the house from just walking the dogs to bathing some of the dogs as well. And then a huge thing to help Colleen out is he's been doing 1 round a day of scooping the cat litter boxes. And we have huge, you know, plastic containers, gigantic plastic containers filled with all of that special sand. And so Justin's going, Eugene's going everywhere around the house and filling up a gigantic bag filled with cat poop when he comes over 5 days a week. And it is a huge help to Colleen. And, you know, Justin's over here helping to scoop the dog poop for me, which is a huge help to do that as well. You guys, everyone seems to forget that in doing everything that we do, we're looking right now, we're looking after 61 animals, and they're a family. We take care of them the same way we would our very own children. And so when Colleen says she has a cold, there's no such thing as a cold. What she has is exhaustion, and it has cold-like symptoms when you're totally exhausted. And she is caring for those 5 new possums. You just really, she has to do this around the clock.
Waking up every 1 to 2 hours? Or-
Every 3, but they're growing so fast and they're just so sweet. And
yeah, it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. But I mean, it is a steep price that we pay for this righteousness. Yeah.
It's the right thing to do.
But yeah, if everyone lived like this, there would be no despair.
Right?
Which is the only sin, everyone, again, to despair.
Kelly.
And you know, so once again, how perfect is it that Colleen and I, you know, people can't really criticize us because we just tell the truth and it's just consistently the truth. So what do people attack us with? Hopium merchants. They sell hope. Yep, guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Because that's what Jesus Christ taught, and that's what God wants. So there you go.
My friends used to always say that I was hopium when I was supporting Trump, and I'm like, I love it. Give it to me. I'm Mr. Hopium. Like, Trump's coming back whether you like it or not. So anyway,
Nothing
It's
can
so
stop
true.
what is coming.
Yeah. And he is.
with the side of JFK, or I shouldn't say side, another main dish.
Yeah, and when Colleen was playing recently, one of the -48 things, he was, and by the way, he was like 6 hours on that
My
last
God.
Telegram
At
chat or
least.
I
something.
thought
Oh my
Charlie
God.
was a
At
marathoner.
least, at least.
8 hours. So
No.
yeah,
It was
so
long.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so once again, everyone,
It was a long
what is
time.
that telling you? So he came out of nowhere just recently, and now he's doing 8-hour shows. We're at the end. We're at the end because you can't maintain that pace. So he's just
And have you
trying to
noticed
get.
that Ghost Ezra's not really around much? Not saying too much.
He's a ghost?
Well, yeah.
Well, they
Could be
could very
busy.
well be one and the same. So because they both tell the truth. So and by the way, if you ever hear anything from -48, anything relating to aliens and space, let me just make this abundantly clear again. Guaranteed beyond description, the earth is level and it is protected by a firmament. As above, so below, as within, so without. When you begin to learn some truth, and you absolutely know, because it shows you everywhere. It's all about dominion in the dome, which is signifying God, which is, by the way, the Sunday, God day is Domingo. It's all about the dome with the Father, and he created the firmament. Just read Genesis for yourself. And it goes on and on and on about stretching out that firmament and creating that firmament and the reasons thereof. So he's talking about something else. He's talking about something else. And the aliens are the Canaanites because they are alien of God. And if you break alien down, okay, I can do this all day and all night with these words, especially with the Cabal. And that's why symbology will be their downfall, because they don't get it. Once you learn the code, it reveals all their lies. So alien is two words, and what would the second word be?
Lie.
Well, that's right. It's a never ending at the end. It's a never ending lie, but it's also a lien. What is a lien?
Alone.
Like a debt, right?
That's right. So a lien is a claim of debt against. So it's stealing your soul. So
Whoa.
a lien is stealing your soul because you're a creditor and they're putting a lien against your essence, a lien against your house, a lien against your car. These are representations of your intellectual capacity and your sweat equity, and they are attempting to put a lien against your credit, which is the genius of you and the sweat equity of you. They can't do it. It's completely, not only is it illegal, it's God's unlawful. It's completely unlawful. So aliens are all those that would put a lien against God within us. A lien. Alien is a lien. And who makes liens against us? Canaanites. Canaanites. So when they say aliens, it's always code for Canaanites because they're absent of God. And an Canaanite is anyone who chooses to live out of their left brain.
But it fits in because it's like they took the Bell craft from Germany and they took all that technology.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're taking you and doing human experiments. And
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So they took that technology and they made it into alien technology. It was never alien technology.
Exactly.
It was mankind
It was
technology.
righteous technology.
but they alienated the Aryans.
that they
There you go.
probably took from Tartaria,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Because all of this, our ancients were not stupid. They were highly technologically advanced. And after another fall of some sort, whether it was from an energy weapon or something that happened. So Hitler took that technology, reverse engineered some amazing technology.
And who reverse engineers? Reavers.
Yep.
Who's the Cabal? Reavers. What's a reaver? They do it in reverse. That is a Canaanite. There's the Cabal. Reavers, reverse engineering. Trust
Because
us.
they see things in mirror fashion because it's from the left side,
Yeah.
right? They can't
It-
see it clearly from the creative side of God.
They can't.
So everything's in reverse.
So everything
That's
is
why it's
Hebrew,
called a
Hebrew, Hebrew,
reaver.
Hebrew. Trust us. Hebrew is the language of God, and Hebrew is the oldest, like bull fucking shit. It
Left
is.
into
So-
the-
It's right to left. It's upside down. It's reversed. Their swastika goes in the wrong direction. Their yods point in the wrong direction.
So if it would have embraced the creativity of the mother, they would have been able to share in this beautiful gnosis of all of the technology out there, and there would have been a balanced living. However, the left brain didn't want that.
Yeah.
They wanted it all to itself and wanted to hide the creator so that it could do its mischievous things.
And how did they do it? They created this one race that's better than everyone else. And then this one race is the victims of this poor, oh my gosh, Holocaust, because the Aryans were actually trying to do something.
Right. So
Well,
they created a Trojan horse.
a lie.
See, and I want you to think about Area 51. again, the truth is always in the words. Okay. And so Area 51. So everything about God's natural creation is the earth, and it comes through the water goddess, the baptismal water, which is the mother, which is the goddess Ea, which is EA. Area puts AREA. So and so this AR is the separating, the AR is separating what? AREA. They're putting the A and the R, which is God masculine. So it's just the masculinity rising before the EA, which is the mother. So in other words, they're putting the penis before truth. They're putting the phallic symbol before truth. Now, isn't that profoundly what we see everywhere in the world? Every single community, no matter how small, has a little obelisk in it, has a penis in it, and then everything and everywhere is lies, nothing but lies. So they put the penis before the mother. The mother is truth. Mother is truth, EA. So they put the AR before the EA. So it's the rising of the phallic before the mother. They're putting the penis above and separating the mother. And that's the symbology of it. And of course, 51, what have we been taught? 107 taught this powerfully. When the Cabal, when black magicians practice black, they do it 3 spells in a row. Their spells are 17s. Their spells are Qs. 3 Qs, 3 17s is 51. That's why it's Area 51. And what do you think they do beneath the ground in Area 51? They commit the worst sins, because these are the worst spells, and they're doing them trifold, because it's the greatest power is the Trinity. So they're doing it trifold. They're doing everything to the worst. So you know what they're doing in Area 51 is black magic, because it's 51. And so you just have to wrap your minds around all of this. And so why the significance, the importance of World War I to be able to create a situation where Britain would be in trouble and they could be negotiated to give away Palestine to an agency of Zionists to recreate the Holy Land for these Jews, except it's not real Jews, the Holy Land for fake Jews. And then what do you think they've been doing since 1947 beneath the ground in the Holy Land? Now, symbolically, this is the worst of the worst. And of course, we know it must therefore be involving children as well. So this is the worst of the worst. These people are so evil and have so little deference, zero deference to God, that they are committing the worst atrocities underneath the Holy Land, when they absolutely know what the Holy Land is. It is human physiology. It is a frequency. It is the frequency of mankind and womankind. That's why the Dead Sea is your sacrum. That's why the Jordan River is your spine. That's why the Sea of Galilee. Galilee, by the way, means circuit. It is your mind. It is your brain. It is your head. And that's why, Golgotha is there, and
But Charlie,
Calvary.
what is unholy is a matter of national security, so it must be in secret. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Isn't that a brilliant
Yeah.
term that they've
Just the perfect mask, wouldn't you say?
conspiracy theory, national security.
Yeah. We have to protect our secret agents. Why do we have secret agents in the first place? What's wrong with you?
The chosen race. Yeah.
No
And
more
what
secrets,
and
no
the
more lies.
and these fake chosen ones, what do? How do they get ahead? Reverse engineer everything.
And
They steal from mankind and they reverse engineer it to
They're
turn it into
parasites.
a monster.
they're parasites. So what did JFK say? What's his famous?
The secret society speech, and they will
Oh,
come
yes.
as infiltrators of night, not armies by day. They
Yeah.
will stab you in the back. They will not knock on your front door.
The very idea of secrecy is repugnant.
To a
Okay.
free to a free and just society.
Yeah, cool, because they know they can't openly confront the truth. They know they can't openly confront the children of Babel, they know they can't do that. So they have to resort to this
Trickery.
secretive,
Mhm.
yeah, trickery. Yeah, these, yeah, exactly.
The darkness.
Mhm.
They have to operate in the darkness because light would show them for exactly who they
Mhm.
are in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm convinced light would burn them.
And this is
And
what
that's why you
this is
see
what
all
we
of those
teach.
movies,
Exactly
right?
what
Where
we
the
teach.
vampires are burned by the light.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they are burned by the light.
Yeah.
They cannot be close to God's photonic light.
Mhm.
And what else?
Which
Come
is
on,
the truth.
let's everybody chip in here. What else? What else kills the vampires? Across
Silver,
silver.
AG, Q.
That's exactly right. What else? What else? What else? A mirror. What else? What else? Holy water. What else? What else? What
Garlic.
else? What else? Garlic.
A wooden stake.
Yeah, a wooden stake. That's
Ooh.
right. Yeah. So it's all massively, massively symbolic. And of course, silver and the silver bullet, the speeding train, Superman is Jesus Christ. And that's all you have to do. All I have to do. What does Bill Donahue teach? Bill Donahue, and this is the Bill Donahue 30 something years ago. And Bill Donahue's going, folks, we're at this point where just things are getting out of control. Bill Donahue was just saying on that same show, he was just saying, the second leading cause of death for teenagers is suicide. You want to continue to participate in this world when the second leading cause of death to teenagers is suicide? You think everything is hunky-dory and that you should be going and having 2 jobs so that your
And
your
that there's
kids
nothing
are
wrong with the system with which we are raising our children.
wow.
The suicidal system.
Wow.
Yep, it is. It's absolutely suicidal system.
And it's
so-
called complacency.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. And complacency is capitulation, is conformity. You're just
Shame
conforming.
on us. And
Yeah.
that's why we are where we are.
Which is
Yep.
a short
Shame on
circuit,
us.
right?
That's right. So no, there, and what is a short circuit? No man from the Sea of Galilee, because Galilee is circuit.
Yes.
That's where
Zodiac.
short circuit comes
yes.
from, because you're shorting Jesus out of the equation, right? That's why when they have 12 months, who's getting short shifted and short changed with 12 months? We
Christos.
are.
We're going
because
to install Christos
That's right.
into our
Yeah.
our monthly
We-
annual.
we
calendar.
enshrine Jesus by adding the Christos month, and it makes perfect sense. And then on the 365th and a quarter day of the year, it's the pineal gland day. And the only way you activate your pineal gland is through meditation. It is the only way.
Beautiful.
No thought, no food. And by the way, if you want to fast, again, it's wonderful if you get to the point where you're dry fasting. But remember, you can always juice fast or you can water fast. Remember, what is the juice of a mango? It's
Alkaline water.
It's alkaline water. It's just colored
It's pure.
alkaline water. That's all. So
It's pure heaven.
when you're eating fruit, you're drinking water. So Colleen and I were just noticing that we used to be huge drinkers of water, so much, and now we don't actually drink that much water. Well, the reason is because we're ingesting so much of watermelon and everything. So it's just cool. It's a colored water. So, and by the way, think about it. Think about Kool-Aid. It's so cool with the K, cool with the K. It's so Kool-Aid. And so what was so cool about Kool-Aid? Because they made it different colors and they made it purple. Oh, like if you ate blueberries, and they made it red. Oh, like if you ate strawberries or cherries. Or they made it orange if you ate an orange, right? So what Kool-Aid is just taking God out of the equation once again. See, it's cool
And how
to be
interesting that
godless.
they made it into like a cult thing,
Literally.
right? Where, drink the Kool-Aid,
Drink
and
the
it's a
Kool-Aid.
dark saying now.
And
Yeah.
and then they always put it like to the black people, they're like, oh, they like Kool-Aid, just to screw with the black people more and just to and give this crap culture that was never a part of the black culture. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just so upside down. By the way, 13 comes up to 99. Like if
Yeah.
you,
Absolutely, which is most high,
Hmm.
highest high, most high.
and then you got 18, which is magnetism. So what?
Hmm.
What? It's just all there. Like
Yeah,
9 and 9.
and
18.
that's right. And everyone, again, when they use words like again, the spiritual community for Jesus, the real name of the person who was traveling around the Holy Land was Yeshua. Hey, that's Hebrew. So if you want to do that, the gematria of Yeshua is 79. Just so you know. But Jeheshua is 77. That's Christ. And Joshua is 74. That's Jesus. Joshua Jeheshua is Jesus Christ. That's 74 and 77. And by the way, that's what comes out of the Greek manuscripts of which the Bible was eventually translated into English, King
And then
James
John,
Bible.
John is 47, right?
Yeah, and John, that's right. And John is 47. And if you dark to light, John, what's dark to light of 47 is 74, which is Jesus. John is Jesus. John is a variation of Joshua, Josh. So it's just brilliant stuff. This is what the truth is. It tells the truth in every single moment. It unifies and connects all things because it's the truth.
This is big, people. This is big.
Justin, before we sign off, did you want to maybe see if anyone has any glaring questions that they wanted us to just quickly address here?
Yeah, does anyone have anything? I'll read back through and see.
Oh, I remember a question. Someone said, like, what? Well, let's just not call it fall. Let's call it autumn. But at the same time, you just have to understand that the sun is going under the equator. Hence, it's falling. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. It's all talking about the sun. So fall is not necessarily a bad thing, right?
Not at all. This is called the fall of man. Autumn is just the higher word
Yes.
for it.
You just prepare for it. You can't stop it.
Exactly.
You can't stop
Nothing
what
can
is
stop
coming
what is coming.
because
It's
it's
written.
God's plan, and
It
it's
is
a
written.
beautiful plan. But what you need to do, he's given us all of the information on how to prepare for it. So what do you do to prepare for the fall? Well, you have 14 days within your week, within your month,
To become
prepare,
strong. To
to
become
prepare
strong.
for when all of that transpires. And so on the bigger scale, you also have given this time for, reaping and harvesting and excuse me, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
So it's all there.
Yep.
It's all been given to us. So it's up to us to discover. That's what the journey is all about, to know thyself, to know the journey of our divine. It's just beautiful. It's a plan.
And that's why you have people that are in chat rooms and being part of communities, because this is virtual travel. So you just need to know that moving forward. When you want to journey and learn and to become wise, don't try to do this necessarily just on your own. Get off your butt and travel, because you're going to see the brilliance and the totality, the wholeness of God's creation. And the Chinese have so much wisdom and genius to teach us. The Japanese have the Koreans, the Vietnamese.
Yes.
Everywhere you go on this earth, the Bolivians and the Chileans, everywhere you go, there is just such wisdom everywhere. The Africa, there has to be so much truth in Africa, because it is the mother. It is the mother Africa.
Listen to Toto's song after. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Mm.
So Valerie Sakor says, big profound question.
Love you, Val.
Who is 48?
You were just saying it earlier.
Well, yeah. 48. Apparently, I think evil comes to 48, and this is from negative 48, and he's negative evil. So, yeah. I mean, he would have to be JFK supposedly, or someone very close.
Well, E is 5, V is 22, so that's 27, and I is of course 9, so that's 36, and L is 12, so that's 48.
Yeah.
Evil is 48, so he's negative 48.
That's how he called himself. And I don't know
And
if I should.
by
bring
the
up
way, the mother is negatively charged.
Yes. Oh, and then before we talked about the fact that Venus is always 48 degrees within the
Yes.
sun. And then you were saying it's the higher version of the mother,
Yeah.
like moon, and then the Venus, like so venerate, revere, all
Yes.
comes from Venus. And yeah. And it's like the significance of love. So there's that too.
And look at the first synonym for Venus is Diana.
Yes.
Diana, Princess Diana, we love you so much.
Mm.
And thank you for your
Absolutely.
sacrifice. And
Yeah,
thank you
your
for all
courage
work.
and
You
strength. I
beautiful,
mean,
beautiful
we
soul.
Colleen and I, and so many people, Princess Diana, we have been with you with every waking beat of our hearts, because we saw the authenticity in you, and we saw how you were trying to make a difference, and we saw how frustrated you were in not being able to tell the truth about the royals, whom everybody was just kowtowing to.
Anybody was in the belly of
Yike.
the beast.
Mhm.
Wow.
Oh, the queen, and oh, don't you just love the queen mother? And wow, and
Nope.
Prince Philip. Ugh.
And Mary OC was saying, my mom spoke Gaelic in prayer called Our Father. We say Jesus. The Our Father in Gaelic is ISSA, Isa.
See?
Christy,
ISSA is another one of these names for Joshua.
Isa.
That's where we get the word yes from the sun.
Christy Bassett asked,
Hi, Christy. We love you so much.
yeah, we do. Does anyone know if CBK bloodline is connected to Grace Kelly?
That's interesting that you would say that, because I had another flash about Grace Kelly, and I've had about 3 of them now since March of 2020. And there is a divinity with Grace Kelly. And when she married, just think about this, the Prince of Monaco to eventually become the Queen of Monaco. Is that not John Galting her? Where did they get her out of the belly of the beast? Where was she? She was she was an actress in Hollywood. And they had to get her the hell
I
out
think
of
we've only got
Dodge.
a couple of weeks before we better do our show. We got to do our show right away on who we think has been John Galton. Because I
Yes.
think they're going to start. I think they're going to start. Negative 48 says if he was to venture a guess on who would be the first to come out of everybody, thinks maybe it might be Michael Jackson.
Uh-huh.
So that would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
Hey, and how about negative 48 story from the other night that you called me in to hear, and that was this bravery award of bravery because of this Israeli attack on an American vessel, and the award of bravery and honor was given to the son of the youngest admiral in United States history. Well, that's Jim Morrison's dad. So that's Jim Morrison. And then when Colleen asked me about, well, why did Rush Limbaugh die? Remember when you asked me that? And I said, well, of course he has to, because we're coming close to the end. And he has to make way for Jim Morrison to resurrect himself. So I think Jim Morrison will be another one who will be at the forefront of this right away.
And for those who aren't aware, that the bridge lady, Veronica,
Oh,
I forget her last name. The bridge lady, she's known as, she
Marilyn Monroe.
she died in the hospital of COVID related something or other, and they're making a big deal about it. Lynn Wood was calling in and trying to get the power of attorney to release her from the hospital and da, da, da. But then negative 48 said, but she had to die because she was Marilyn frickin' Monroe. I just cried. I cried tears like a big baby when I heard that, because it was just like, seriously, these people have been in my heart, and I didn't know why that these people were in my heart. Princess Di, all of these people, I didn't know them, but they were in my heart. And so when Marilyn Monroe and her story, it just sits on me. And to hear that she is freaking John Galton and she's alive and she's been living a life, it just gives me nothing but pleasure to know that she's been working to free humanity from enslavement, because wow.
Yes.
Right. And when she's abused, she was massively used and abused.
And she had to live with the stories that have been going around for her whole life,
That's
you
right.
know, knowing that
John F. Kennedy.
that they were supposedly having this affair, and
Exactly.
she's a tramp, and she was being, you know, she was
Mhm.
trying to.
So how do you
Used-
destroy all of that stuff? Dark to light. So Damn the Torpedoes, Tom Petty's third album, Damn the Torpedoes, full steam ahead. Damn the Torpedoes, you just go full right. You just go full righteous on these assholes. And that's how you get them back. Dark to light, baby. Dark to light, dark to light, dark to light. That's why so many were John Galted. John Lennon, guaranteed he was not shot and killed on that fateful night in December. He was not. He absolutely was not. He was John Galted. And you know,
George Harrison.
George Harrison. When George Harrison was almost knifed to death within his home, that is a scream to anyone in the world who is goodly godly going, we have got to get this guy out of here. We have got to get him out of here. Absolutely. They're gonna kill him. They will not let him.
And the
live.
fact that JFK, the ultimate JFK.
But it's more than that, because if JFK was John Galted, there's no way that Robert Kennedy was killed in the Ambassador Hotel
And
in Los
that
Angeles.
means
And
that-
that means that Martin Luther King was not shot in the face by, you know, James Earl Ray
about Gandhi?
in Memphis.
Gandhi still be alive?
Well,
Please, dear God.
it's hard to say, and therefore it gives us great hope for Malcolm X as well. So and it gives us great hope for Nikola Tesla.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
That would be awesome if Tesla was alive.
What did Q say again
about
and
Howard
again?
Hughes?
None of this would be possible. None of this would be possible without Nikola Tesla.
If you're listening,
Howard
Tesla. Wow.
Yeah,
369 and 12.
Mr. Tesla,
Yeah, Mr. Tesla.
Mr. Tesla.
Wow.
We're just infants.
Yes.
Had a good question from Jen's Bubbles, which we've covered this before, but it's good to reiterate. So why, I'm paraphrasing. Let me just pull up her question specifically. Why does the Old Testament give instruction on what animal meat we are allowed to eat? Was this put there by man to deceive us, or can this be explained, please?
Yeah, I think a really good, because wasn't that you, Eugene? That was,
No, it was
that
Justin.
was it Justin that was also talking about, well, it could also be as a guide for fallen man in terms of what is more cleanly. But no, in terms of, so I think that could be a possibility as well. But I've never swayed off of the fact that when you look at it, what it's just saying is that what is domesticated and what is bestial. And if you notice when you go through and those passages, what they're saying is you don't eat bestial, and what you eat is domesticated. And so people are going, see, Charlie, that's, yeah, so it's totally okay to eat cows and lambs and all, because they're all domesticated animals. No, domesticated means in alignment to God. And so these are sheep, and they're not advocating eating sheep. It means take no thought for your life. And that what you don't ever eat is bestial meats. You don't eat the bestial meats because that is the carnal left brain. It's always referring left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain. How do you know that? Because we're in the duality. The duality is, you know, red shift, blue shift, left path, right path. It's left brain, right brain.
Here's a great question. Was the real Paul John Galted? Wouldn't that be amazing?
The two of them came out.
Wow.
Well, look at the year, right? So that's right after JFK.
And
So
the things that he was talking about before. Yeah, and so, oh wow, that
Yeah.
I never thought about that. But the real Paul,
yeah,
maybe he was John Galted. That would be amazing.
Wow.
yeah. He was writing a lot of divinity songs. And so yeah, wouldn't that
and
be
these
amazing?
people-
The real Beatles,
these
the
peop-
real
right.
Beatles,
But these people,
minus Ringo, please.
these people
Sorry,
didn't
Ringo.
stop being prolific with their writings. They must have been writing for other groups, right? So some of these songs that we know to be Gnostic treasures were probably written by some of these beautiful
Or,
John
or
Galton.
help, or guided, right? Or
Right.
shaped, guided
Possibly,
and whatnot.
right?
Yeah, like what you're seeing with Michael
So
Jackson.
it's
So
like
suddenly
we've
Michael
still been
Jackson.
able to experience their beauty and their
Mhm.
essence, which
Yeah.
is, wow,
Yeah.
thank you.
So Michael Jackson is suddenly unaccredited, showing up on all these hit records out of the 70s and 80s, because that's the kind man that Michael Jackson is. So, and that's what you found with the band Toto. So I hold great hope that Toto's drummer and co-founder, Jeff Porcaro, part of this really, really divine Porcaro family, was John Galton as well, because the circumstances around Jeff Porcaro's death are absolutely bizarre. And that he was spraying bees, and he had an allergic reaction to the bee spray, and he died. It doesn't hold water. And just, if people don't know, Jeff Porcaro is one of a handful of the best drummers that have ever graced the drum stool. So he was an absolute genius performer. He could play every instrument, but he was an absolute. He was the white Bernard Purdie. Bernard Purdie and Jeff Porcaro, the two shuffles. Wow, genius. So it is a great hope of ours. And then, significance, everyone, again, about the band Toto, gematria, again, what is T? T is 20. So it's 2020, 22, the mother. Truth coming out in 2022, Toto
Adds up to
telling the
70,
truth.
Because 15, 20, and then 2015, so.
Yeah.
That'd be 35, 35.
And what's that trilogy of songs that Toto did to start their second album Hydra? And that was Hydra, St. George and the Dragon in 99. And that's the reward if you do the work. So in Hydra, he failed because he didn't know, but God loves a trier. So he came back with greater wisdom and knowledge in St. George and the Dragon, and destroyed the dragon, the Hydra, the carnal beast. And then in the third song, you get God, the Trinity. You get the Father and the Mother, 99 Most High.
Fantastic.
A couple of people asked how did these people remain in hiding who were John Galton? How did the Cabal not know about them?
Oh, you saw the beer commercial. They're just put on these small Caribbean islands, or small, beautiful, resort islands. And then as soon as the radar sees a boat coming by, they just pull the screen down, and it just shows.
Well, and Negative 48 kind of addressed that by saying that they couldn't actually say anything.
Right,
The,
because it
the
would-
Cabal can't say anything because it would show us
That's right. Well,
why they would have to be.
that they're not
John
in
Galton.
control,
That's right.
that they're not in control, and that their narrative is a lie.
So it becomes another secret.
Yeah,
for
it's
them.
the whole V for Vendetta thing, and also
Watch that movie again,
Atlas
folks.
Shrugged,
Mhm.
at the third movie, like the basically the ideal of the ego, the president and the Thompson guy, or whatever that figure. He did not want you to know that there was this outside I don't know, like hope, for I guess
Yeah.
you could say.
Mhm.
And also I feel like this draws to Harry having that cloak of invisibility. And then Frodo, when he goes into the ring, he also goes into the invisibility.
Of course.
So I think it draws to those two.
Well, and it's arrogance as well. The ego, left brain is very arrogant, is very
Yep.
self-assured
Yes.
that its way is. So they never thought she would lose.
Yes.
And that's another cue phrase. They never thought she would lose.
Yes.
They were
They
so
still
arrogant.
think they can win this.
Mhm. They still think they have us, and yeah,
They're wrong.
mhm, they're wrong.
Because they're underestimating God,
Mhm,
and they always have.
mhm.
Symbolism will
Always
be
will.
their downfall. Left brain carnal monsters don't create anything. They reverse engineer the genius of mankind. The Henry Fords. The
And there's
Nikola
always parts
Teslas.
left over when you reverse engineer and you're like, wonder what these are for.
That's right.
Wonder what that bolt was for. Gee,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Seems to be working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pierre Beauchamp taught you everything to know about biology and chemistry and was an absolute genius. And nobody knows about Pierre Beauchamp. Everybody knows about Louis Pasteur, and that for us to live, we have to kill everything. So there you go. Pierre Beauchamp said, you eat life, you have life, and you don't have to worry about bacteria because you cannot become diseased if you're alkaline. So just eat life. Eating life is alkaline. That's Pierre Beauchamp, which everybody saw as the smartest man in the world, like a living, breathing Renaissance man. And nobody knows about Pierre Beauchamp, but everybody knows about Louis Pasteur. Yeah, so that makes total sense. Just bring everything past the boiling point and kill it, then eat it. There you go. You die at 60 and wonder why.
With that lovely note.
Yeah, I'd love to thank the children of Abel that have just been working for us in the background, like a Blue Rose family, I guess specifically. Like,
Yeah.
wow, just how much they've gone through and how much they've persevered
The
through.
Jesus strand.
Yeah. The beautiful Knights Templars, the ones that were honored.
Yes.
Yeah.
The true Freemasons.
The true Freemasons. You never
Yeah,
hear.
the true vampire slayers that have
That's
been
right.
out there slaying the vamps
That's right.
since the beginning of time, undercover, with no fanfare. The Aragorns of the world,
The same
hiding
way.
in the
The same way as Ganges.
in the shadows. Exactly.
Not all that is gold glitters. Not all that is gold glitters. They hide in the shadows awaiting their return, the return of the king,
Mhm.
Aragorn.
And the return of the king is about to happen.
It is. And the return of the king, by the way, my friends, is 1260. Book of Revelation dominated by two numbers, 42 and 1260. What's the only way you can get 42 to become 1260?
30.
Times 30 times 30. How do you get a circle? You take the 12 and 30 degrees of separation, and there's the 360. And all you have to do to learn the truth is to piece the 12 puzzle pieces together to get the
Pisces.
one, the whole, which is Jesus in the center of the puzzle. So it's so beautiful. In the book of Revelation, she fled into the wilderness, being the virgin territory of the right brain. She fled into the wilderness for 42 days, and thereupon she found a house gifted to her by God. And for 1260 days, she took nothing but nourishment from God.
Would that be the Circuit of Galilee?
This is the highest of the three journeys that we have to do. This is the return of the king. When because you become the mass star. When you can achieve the 1261 plus 2 plus 6 is 9, which is divine. Then you are the mass star. You're the return of the king.
We're doing it.
Joshua, Jeheshua, 74, 77. Jesus Christ, 74, 77.
God loves a trier.
The rewards are built into the work.
We love you guys.
Yeah, thank y'all for being
It's been
here.
a wonderful night.
It has, and we're gonna come back at you. Is this is Wednesday night?
Mhm.
So this is Mercury, the messenger night. And we're gonna come back Saturday night if that works for Justin and Eugene
I
already
thought
made
we
up.
were gonna do maybe Friday night. Instead of question and A, we do it like this, or
Well, no, I was gonna, because I already posted it, because I already made up the thing. So,
well,
and
if he's
then,
posted it, then it has to be.
and then
It
what,
is written.
what did I say again, guys, that I said is the perfect
Title?
title in the show for the Saturday show? It's a great title. All you have to do is somebody just go on to MeWe and just quickly go into MeWe, Charlie Freak MeWe, and it's I thought I already posted it. I wrote about it anyways.
Return of the King?
Yeah. So, but join us Saturday night, because it's gonna be a great show. Nothing stop it. I think probably in the show more I maybe referenced it, maybe not.
Episode 3 will be coming this Saturday night. Will be entitled "The Truth of the '60s and Those Dirty Hippies."
Oh,
Yeah, the
Some-
truth of the 60s and those dirty hippies. That's going to be an amazing show. We're going to blow you away because you know what you're going to find out about the truth about the hippies on Saturday night?
They won't come if you tell them no.
Oh, okay.
ah,
It's a
We'll
three,
save it.
it's a
Save it.
3-letter word.
God.
Come
Or
on
no.
Saturday and listen to the 3-letter word.
All right, everybody.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah. Thank y'all for being here. And I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your evening, rising day, wherever you are. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, guys. We love
We love you.
you. Appreciate everything.